women are the more coveted of in the straight variety of relationships. Women are the more coveted of the two sexes, and
so they're the prize.
Yes, of course. We've touched on this. $40 haircut.
No, I'm saying like if a woman was the prize, why is it always some crying shit? Like, you know what I'm saying, attached to, well, I did. The man is like, hey, I did this shit. Fuck it, man. Come on, what we gonna do?
Because
you know what I mean?
They
like,
lack empathy, and they're inherently abusive people.
You're saying men are inherently abusive people. Yeah. Even the three men right here?
Probably.
Yeah, for sure I am. Hell yeah.
See? He knows.
Yeah. Physically, mentally, and emotionally.
There you go.
Is your brother an abusive person?
No, but he's a simp, so.
Yeah, I'm total.
Oh, that's terrible.
I put on my wife's deodorant so she would have sex with me. that's the, and I'm 2 years into a marriage.
Awesome. Well, welcome y'all to Manly Girly Podcast, fastest growing comedy dating talk podcast in North Carolina. I am with a great panel today again. Panel, I'll ask you name, age, relationship status, and what does love mean to you? And we'll start with you, Emily.
My name's Emily. I'm 30. I'm single. And what does love mean to me? I would say it's waking up on crisp autumn mornings and watching orange leaves fall to the ground and smelling that pumpkin spice.
Tis the season.
A big oversized scarf.
I think she's thinking of fall.
Literally.
It still has 4 letters. You know,
yeah, that is what love means to me.
Well, we'll dig into it in a minute. Welcome back to the show, Emily. Always glad to have you by. And then we have a newcomer. Please give us your name, age, relationship status, and what does love mean to you?
My name's Nate, 32, been married for 2 years now. So I guess at this point in my life, love means, asking my wife to have sex and then promising to brush my teeth first.
Let's get her on the podcast.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well,
she asked that her name be bleeped out if you
Yeah.
ever says it.
well, nice to meet you, Nate. Welcome to the podcast. And you are our next guest brother. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. Well, welcome. We have family episode.
Can't you see the resemblance?
Well, you're both blonde? Is that natural? Blonde?
Natural blonde over here.
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure.
Oh, it is? You don't highlight or anything like that?
Yeah, just like you, I assume.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, no. Well, this is not natural. This is just
What?
This is just stress. But welcome to the show again. Please give us your name, age, relationship status, and what does love mean to you?
Okay, so my name's Tori Chafee. I'm 35. Relationship status is forever single, alone, asexual, non-binary. I hope to add more to this list someday. But to me, love means, wanting that other person to succeed and be happy, whether or not that includes you and your feelings or opinions.
Okay, thank you. We'll dig into that a little bit more. And how about you, my friend? Name, age, relationship status, and what does love mean to you?
I'm Slim, 35. Relationship status depends on who wants to give me some pussy. Definitely. Love, hey man, love is funny, man. I think love is not what people would usually think, like, oh man, it's caring, da-da-da. I think love is like, how much shit can you take and continue to keep caring? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I don't think a lot of motherfuckers got that. They're here for the good, but not necessarily the bad. Like, shit, so what? I had a baby on you, bitch. Let's move past it. You know what
That is that's an interesting perspective. Thank you, Slim. We'll dig into that a little bit more. I want to start with a little clip, to wet our beak here, and Even though that idiom doesn't apply, I just like saying it. It just sounds so
Wet
cool
the
to
beak.
me. Yeah, let me wet my beak here a little bit.
I'll drink to that.
Like a bird. I picture
Just
a bird.
the tip.
I'm gonna wet my dick on this one. Let's get this.
Wet my dick on
Let's
this.
all wet our dicks on this one.
I'm sorry.
You pay for your half, I'll pay for mine, since we're not gonna see each other again.
I'm sorry. I really was trying not to hurt your feelings. It's not going to work out, but
By the way, context on this, the caption is basically she told him during the day that she didn't want a second date,
I think it's totally fair for you to pay for your share of a meal. I'm gonna go to the men's room. Get your wallet out.
That was that quick.
did you hear this?
The whole thing. I think you should run while you can. I think he's weird. Why are you waiting?
I don't know. I feel like I'm in a bad spot.
Oh, you already put it on his credit card. Get out of here.
I'm going to go.
Good move. He invites you here and then
Yeah.
wants you to pay him. Well, you're being honest and that's good.
You don't think I have to?
Oh, hell no. I have 2 daughters, so you don't have to ask me. How much should the bill be? What is the bill?
$80.42.
Here,
He's got it.
put this on my credit. You're off the hook.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
You're way more of a gentleman than he was.
I wouldn't go that far. Count yourself lucky. Hit the road.
I should leave.
It's paid. Say goodbye. You're out of here. See that? There's an old saying that there are more horses' asses in the world than there are horses. That was a horse's ass.
So we'll start with you, Slim, over here. Now, if you're out on a date, or not you specifically, but this guy, if this guy's on a date,
No, we could do me.
yeah, or you,
yeah, fuck
and,
that,
and in the middle of the date, right, or before the date's over, or the dinner's over, she's like, yeah, I'm not interested in a second date, and not just you, but also comment in the video. Is it fair to say it's like, okay, well, you should pay for your half then?
Well, I'm gonna tell you what I would do. If we're sitting down, not really hitting it off, you know what I mean? She already ordered 2 big ass margaritas, a nice big old plate of food and everything, I'm gonna request another drink, right? And I'm gonna say, damn, I left my ID in the car. I'll be right back. I don't want you to get in trouble, you know what I mean? Trying to look out for me.
Of course.
I don't want you to lose your job. And I'm leaving. Fuck you, bitch. Yeah, that's how that goes. I dare you, bitch. Like I said earlier, if you don't want me, you don't want shit out of life.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. Right. So completely legitimate then. The video looks good to you.
Yeah, it is. I would like to see like the beginning, like how that shit actually really was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I would also like to see the flip side of that. If that was a woman and you know what I'm saying? It was like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would like to see people's reaction on that. But
To a woman refusing to pay for half of a meal because a man doesn't want to go on a second date.
right.
You want to see that?
Yeah. I think whoever asks to go out should have to pay. And
Probably
the
the
first
guy.
date. Probably. We don't know that though.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, he
I'm
said
gonna
it in the
assume it's
video.
the
He
guy.
was like, he invited you there, like one of the older guys.
Well,
Was like,
yeah.
oh yeah, he invited you out.
So before we continue going along, if somebody invites you, they should pay.
Yes.
Probably, yeah.
Yes, I believe so.
Do you believe so, Nate?
I mean, I forget my wallet all the time.
Sure.
And chronically bad about
Okay.
forgetting my wallet. So, but no, I mean, I don't know. That is a good question. I guess if you invite out, doesn't mean you should be allowed to go ham. I mean, it's clearly brunch.
Right.
How are you gonna rack up $80 meal during a lunch date? That's fucked up.
It is pretty early for it.
Bottomless mimosas.
So what is the
the bottomless? That's only $13.
What is the cutoff then?
It
What is
looks
the
like
cutoff?
you're at
Like,
a
hey,
country
bitch, you
club,
didn't.
though.
Hey, let me know because you're ordering too much. Like, what is the cutoff then?
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And
Oh
then
my God, if you're broke, just say it.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that saying
I'm
now.
on a lobster thermidor. Oh yeah, I don't see this working out.
I know you need to bring out an adding machine and a.
Motherfucker got a biscuit like sopping the plate. Like, this shit ain't gonna work out, man.
I don't know. I don't think we're jiving right now.
well, we'll get
Clarence
into
Casino.
I'm really full. I don't think I could ever even think about dating someone again.
Ugh,
That's tough, man.
I am stuffed.
Well, we'll get into all that here in a second. But Tori, what was your reaction to this video? Like, is he correct, or is it okay for him to ask that?
No, that's just some men like to throw tantrums when they're rejected. I think we all know this, and that's just the equivalent of like, I'm not interested in you. DM going to like, you're an ugly bitch. It's just like, well, then pay for your own food. It's like, like if you said, if you're broke, just say that. You don't have to
What a
be
dope
an asshole.
fucking
But,
leaves,
you know,
the
shout
house
out to the
without
guy
money.
who came through in the clutch. How much is it? Here, put it on the credit card. Because she knew that all she had to do is be like, hello, men wearing loafers. Are you seeing this?
So you're saying that the answer to bad men is other good men?
I'm just saying that if a man's not going to act right, I think another man will probably step in and do it.
Yeah.
Which she proved.
So
she
not
doesn't
all-
even need to pay half her way. She can just ask the next guy.
Yeah, she could just get an older sugar daddy.
Right,
you
simping
know?
is at an
Yeah.
all-time
She didn't have
high.
to do anything for that besides, I don't know, be kind of nice to him.
Yeah, simping is at an all-time high these days.
What is?
Simping.
Simping?
Sip it, yeah. I should make a song,
Respecting
Simpin'
women
Ladies.
is disgusting.
Well, it's a TikTok
Ew,
video.
yeah, that's nasty.
I like to see the end of it where he's like, "Hey, by the way, no problem for paying for it. Can I get your number?" And she's like, "I don't think so." And he's like, and then you
I'm
see him
gonna
cancel
need-
his credit card.
yeah. Or he sits down with the old guys, thanks for paying. That girl was a fucking
Yeah. Well, I mean,
You want to get a beer together?
credit the guy. He said half. I mean, he could have gone through the receipt and been like, "Okay, let's see here. Pina colada, that's you. That's $13." He could have really done the math.
He could have done the math.
He could have bought out the old accountant advisor and fucking the calculator.
Crunch the numbers.
Yeah, and maybe this is a mismatch, right? Like between the dating experience of men and women, because out of the times that you went on dates, Tori or Emily, like what percentage, if you had to put on it, would you say that you paid for the date or what? The first date? I assume that's the first date. It's probably lower than half, right? I imagine.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever paid for a man
Which
on
is
a
good.
first date.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't really date in the traditional sense, but I've definitely paid for meals, which
Yeah.
I regret doing.
Would
now.
you say it was more than 50% or less than 50%?
Just sometimes you're like, you got the last one, I'll get this one. I regret doing that.
Right. No, that's not the question though.
I think-
What is it?
He said, would you say that it was more than 50% of the time that you paid on the first date, or less than 50% of the time?
Less, yeah.
Yeah,
Less.
and this is like I always try to like get inside the mind of the thing, and I'm assuming, and to be expected. Listen, there's nothing wrong with that, right? It seems that like as a woman, right, you can go on potentially, let's say, on your amount of income, you can probably go to a lot more dates, especially if you're not necessarily the one that, outside of the ability of choice, right, and whatnot, and your dating pool, to go out. But if you're a dude, right, like economics works into the number of dates that you can go on, right? So like, outside of selecting the time, if you go on this date and let's say you have to spend $50, $100, $200, like per month or whatever, a date or per week, whatever it is, then by her saying I don't want a second date, right, and him paying for it, now he is. First of all, why are guys even paying for dates?
It's an application fee.
Yeah, why are guys even? What do you guys pay for dates? For the potential, like to out of courtship, I imagine. What would you guys think?
Because he's
dates?
wearing fucking cargo shorts to the date, and she probably spent more than he would spend on that food, on her
Yeah,
hair.
put a
and
picture
makeup
of
and
this guy
clothes.
up.
Like,
Yeah, so
this woman is spending money.
So you're saying that women
Spent more money on a moisturizer than he did on his whole outfit.
Yeah.
So you're saying that women spend money on beauty products for men?
I'm saying that if a man wants a woman who meets a certain beauty standard, then he should pick up the slack because she paid a lot of money to look like that.
That's a good point. I never considered that.
Who's paying for his haircuts and his suits?
His
and
$12
things?
haircuts, probably him.
Yeah.
I don't know
throw the guy back up. What do
anyone.
you look like?
Yeah, we need to look at his outfit.
For me, like when I get a shave and a bald head, right? Bro, that's $40 fucking
Yeah,
without
it's
the tip.
expensive. Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? That's $40 without a tip. So like,
Yeah,
And you
her
gotta get it
her
every
hair
2 or
costs
3 days?
$300.
Yeah, I haven't paid for a haircut in 15 years.
But
so I don't
does
know.
her hair have to cost $300?
no, it does not.
If her hair didn't
If I were in
cost
this hat.
$300, it's likely he wouldn't have asked her out.
Okay.
These things are what men notice in women and ask them out for.
So they women do it for the men then.
No, they do it because they like it, but men also like it. And
Okay, but so then it's 50% then, so it's $150 of the
No.
accountability. Because I
Women
hear
are-
this a lot, right? Like I hear this a lot that my nails and all this other stuff, right? Like cost money, and then that justifies, like men paying on dates. I'm not saying that I agree or disagree, right? But it doesn't seem to. I also hear that I do all of this for me, right? It's like if the guy spent, $10,000 on a watch, it's like, okay, you need to pay for this shit because I wore this watch, and that's why you're attracted to me because you think, like I have some status or whatever, right? Like you could do that ad infinitum until.
No, because like we talked about this before, it's like women are the more coveted of. In the straight variety of relationships, women are the more coveted of the two sexes, and
so they're the prize.
Yes, of course, we've talked about this. $40 haircut.
No, I'm saying like if a woman was the prize, why is it always some crying shit? Like attached to well, I did. The man is like, hey, I did this shit. Fuck it, man. Come on, what we gonna do?
Because
what I mean?
They
like,
lack empathy, and they're inherently abusive people.
You're saying men are inherently abusive people. Yeah. Even the three men right here.
Probably.
Yeah, for sure I am. Hell yeah.
See, he knows.
Yeah. Physically, mentally, and emotionally.
There you go.
Is your brother an abusive person?
No, but he's a simp. So.
Yeah, I'm total.
Oh, that's terrible.
I put on my wife's deodorant so she would have sex with me. That's and I'm 2 years into a marriage, so.
What did you think was gonna happen? She wouldn't smell you coming? Like she'd think it was her own scent? Like when you're hunting?
She's like, well, at least I know I like that scent. I'm like, good.
It's like putting on deer piss when you go hunting.
Yeah. And Emily, like your view on that video.
My view on that video, that man just looked like whiny.
Yeah.
He's wearing like a polo shirt. He looks like he went to private school.
That's what they want, I thought, right?
Definite
Somebody went to a good school, got a good job, you know what I mean?
How much did that cost?
Right. How much did his degree cost?
Now, do you think
How much did it cost his parents?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think, and we'll start with Emily and then we'll go around, that people deserve to be with people that are as equally into them as they are into the other person, or should one person like one more than the other?
Oh, yeah, they should be equally into each other.
Yeah. How about you, Nate?
I don't know. I mean, ideally, yeah, but I don't think that's how it normally works out. I think there's always somebody chasing, and there's always, and if that, it's probably normally the man, I guess, who's doing the chasing, and that's where like the money and all the bells and whistles come into effect. You got to raise your status, because I do think that, I don't know. I do think that, like, at least men do see that women have, like, inherently a higher status, They got the pussy, so, they're the ones chasing most. Maybe that's not how I...
Power of the P.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
In every date I've ever, or before when I was dating, like, that's how I knew the second date was going to happen, when the woman offered to go
Give
half.
you a pussy?
Oh, no, offered to go half. So she's like, all right, when it's like the bill comes out and... she takes it. It's like, okay, this is...
That's what you thought meant a second date? Did they ever result in them?
What do you mean?
The woman saying, let me go halvesies with you. Did you ever go on a second date with any of those women?
No. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm not...
this is a good
I'm
sign.
not completely oblivious. Like, I could tell from the beginning of the date that there wasn't going to be a second date. But that's the nail in the coffin when they pay for it.
Like, look, I'm sorry to have wasted your time, buddy. Like, you need this more than I do.
Well, the fucked up thing about it is I was always such a simp even in a first date, that like, even when a date didn't go well and I could see there wasn't chemistry, I would still be like, so can I see you again sometime? And they'd be like, no. I'd be like, that's probably for the best.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And in a way, even though the mechanism is different, where these women that paid the date that were signaling not for a second date, they're also meaning like, maybe like, oh, this was just not a connection, so let me pay my part, and maybe you pay your part, right? Like this, I don't want you to give you any inklings of romantic.
Yeah.
But that is in stark contrast to this woman that expects that dude to pay on the date, even though she explicitly told him, and that's why the setup for the video, that she didn't want a second date.
Yeah. It's kind of fucked up to say no second date halfway through the day, you know?
Yeah, say
like,
it after,
Yeah, just be like, okay.
Text me when I'm alone and can cry in my bedroom by myself.
Exactly.
Yeah, I bet you she probably doesn't do it again. Like in the middle of the day.
I don't know. It worked out. I mean, she didn't have to go out on a second date with the guy, and
she might
the
have
food
a
and
nude
drinks
date.
got paid for it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fair. How about you, Tori? I know you're not dating for now or forever, or until
Right now and forever.
until you change your mind again.
Sure. Until I find that special guy.
But do you think that people should be equally yoked about being with the other person, or is it there an imbalance thing that should be happening?
I mean, I think, yeah, in theory, you should be equally yoked, but I know that some people subscribe to, like, you should marry someone who loves you more than you love them or something. Like, that the guy should be more into the girl to keep him from doing, guy things that he will probably inevitably do.
Do you think it's easier for men or women to cheat?
Probably for men to cheat, yeah.
Wow.
Or straight men.
What do you think it's like easier internally, or do you think it's easier
Physically.
Like,
Do you think it's easier for guys to cheat?
I think it's easier for a man to like rationalize it, or you know what I mean? But I mean, it's easier for a woman to cheat, like I said.
Because
like,
if men chase the pussy,
it's easier for women to get laid.
It's easier for women to get laid. It's probably easier
and men
for
also
men to cheat.
Yeah.
What?
In their brains.
Yeah, I think, like I said, it's easier for a man to
brain
rationalize
stem.
it. Or I don't know what the word it's easier for a man to do it.
Yeah, to
but it's probably
compartmentalize.
if a woman wanted to, if she had that initiative to do it, it'd probably be physically.
That's right. If she had the initiative, because that's women, right?
I have a follow-up question, but let me get to some. Thank you for your answer, Tori.
Thanks.
Slim, do you think people should be equally yoked about each other, or should there be a power difference? And if so, and follow-up, is it easier for men or women to cheat?
I think just naturally it's gonna be one chasing the other, and the longer you all are with each other, you're gonna see that shit change. You know what I'm saying? The man might be chasing the woman the first 2-3 years, then the woman might realize like, oh damn, this dude's dope as fuck, man. I'm not doing what is necessary to really keep him interested. So now she's chasing after him, and now he's back interested. It's gonna be a constant, you know what I mean, back and forth, depending on like the length of the relationship. You dig what I'm saying? And that whole equally yoked thing, man, I don't think a lot of people understand what equally yoked really means. You know what I mean? It's like, if I'm fucked up in this area and you're good at that, you know what I'm saying? That's what makes that yoke equal. You know what I'm saying? Because if I'm heavy over here and you're heavy over here, we're fucked up over here somewhere. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Like the scales are in balance.
Yeah, no doubt. You know what I'm saying? But easier for a man or a woman to cheat, hands down, bro. It's easier for a woman to cheat, bro. Hands down.
How come?
Bro, it's easier because, like you said, bro, motherfuckers just want to fuck. You know what I'm saying? Some people just want to fuck. They're not even interested in a relationship with this awesome woman that you have. You know what I mean? They just like, oh, damn, she got a nice face, fat ass, big titties. You know what I'm saying? Let me hit that. You know what I'm talking about? And that's driving their motivation, not to even get to know her or no shit like that. You know what I'm saying? For a man, usually, what do you have to do? The same goofy shit you had to do with the bitch that's about to cheat on you. You know what I'm saying? You got to go on all these fucking dates, spend fucking more money. Now you got to spend even more money to get away from the places that you would usually go, a little bit more upscale so nobody can catch you cheating. You know what I mean? It's a lot of bullshit. You got to pay for hotel rooms and shit. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot. I've been told I don't cheat.
That's Tori, it seems like you had some thoughts or reactions to that.
No. Well, no, I'm fine.
Okay. No. And the reason why I also asked this question, right, is because, and I think y'all mentioned that, somebody might be chasing, but overall that maybe you should be as into the other person. And is if you're starting a date with the mentality of like, oh, I've spent all this on myself, and putting yourself up to a certain point and expect then, like, wouldn't that also raise your expectations of what you expect on the other side? And does that form a good recipe for that equal yokeness or kind of like level playing field, or are we walking guarded into a dating scenario? And then we'll start with you, Slim, and we'll go around.
Well, something like that, bro. That's like some unintentional resentment that a motherfucker's setting up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I did all this shit for myself, and you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, whoa. If you did it for yourself, continue that. That's what you like to do. You know what I mean? Because me personally, man, I gravitate more towards a woman that doesn't really wear makeup. You know what I'm saying? That wears her natural hair. You know what I mean? That's not into like, you know what I mean? Different things. So low maintenance type woman. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Not because I don't have it. It's because I'm just not. That's not what drives me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and I forgot the other part that you said. 'Cause, I'm a piece of shit.
No. You're good. I think that answered it. Yeah. How about you, Tori?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, basically, if we're walking into a situation, because a lot of you mentioned like, oh, the hair's $300 or whatever, right? Yeah. That it's, you're already setting yourself up as I put all this much investment in. To Slim's point, isn't that kind of like setting up already an almost disappointed or a high expectation that maybe doesn't allow for that connection?
Well, I'm not saying that like women walk around doing that. That's just what I notice when I see a woman who's put together and probably just spent a lot on her appearance. I don't think that high maintenance women are walking around being like, a date with me is worth $600. Like,
yeah, no, but I'm saying she expected to pay in that video, right? Sure. Like for the guy to pay.
I would expect him to pay too. He asked her out, and she showed up looking the way he wanted her to because he asked her out, and that's the way he likes the way she looks. That's why he asked her out.
Was this a real video, or was this like one of those like
I think
candid camera? Like, because there was a lot of cinematography, a lot of angles, a lot of cinematography.
Yeah, but
there must have been some hidden cameras in that.
It's easy to hide them in a restaurant, like you could have some of these, and they just look like security cameras.
Oh yeah,
a busboy bin looks just the same as a.
Awesome. And thoughts from you, Nate, as well. Like, if people are, you mentioned that one was chasing the other, so maybe it doesn't apply.
Well, I guess I think more likely it's the man chasing the woman because of like, the sexual drive of men versus women, which I could be wrong about. But also there's the inverse also exists. Like, I just think it's about insecurity too. There's always a person who's just seems more interested in the other person, and there's probably a lot of psychology that goes into it that I don't quite comprehend. But I mean, like, I feel like I'm the one who chases my wife just because like I'm insecure, way more insecure than she is. Like.
At least that's very vulnerable.
Like, I mean, like
we're being honest.
We're married, so sometimes you get into arguments and like.
Do you let her peg you?
She never asked, but I don't think I would. No.
Okay, just checking. I want to see how submissive.
I don't think I would. No.
I think he would. They're really in love.
Wow,
that's adorable, man. That's great.
I've never been that in love to even consider shit like
that's
that.
Just sad.
I would, but I'm not into butt stuff. So pretty much anything else.
I'm proud of you.
If you wanted to peg my mouth, maybe.
Woo.
She belongs to the street.
Nice. Thank you for that, Emily.
What was the question?
So is it like if you're going up all like gassed up about yourself into a dating situation, is that kind of like a recipe for failure, for things to go awry or expectations to be too high on the other end, or?
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like you should go to any dating situation thinking you're like the best thing ever and that you're going to be the best thing that ever happened to this person. I don't know. It's good, putting out good vibes into the universe.
Yeah. Okay.
Also, like, that's the attitude I go into. I'm like, I'm great. I'm literally going to change your life.
And you've recently gone on some dates, from my understanding, is that correct?
Yeah.
And how have they gone?
Well, I went on one yesterday. It was good.
Yeah.
Was it with him?
No.
Good.
Will there be a second date?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did he pay for the date?
He did. Wait.
Okay. How much? If you don't mind me asking.
Yeah. What'd you order?
Oh, we went out for drinks, and I got 3 cocktails.
Hey.
That's like $15 each.
That's another thing. I think men are more willing to pay for cocktails than food.
Yeah.
If you just think about like the dynamics of a man, it's like okay.
Eating on a first date. That's I don't
No,
know.
man. On a first date, I don't. If we go on a date, you know what I'm saying, and you're drinking more than you're eating, I don't want to fuck with you anyway. Like, what kind of party animal bitch is this? It's 1 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, if she's drinking or eating.
I'm talking about just smashing fucking Long Islands and shit. Like, let me get another one. Like, bitch.
I might
that's not a good. We go on a date back in the.
No, we did not. No.
That's only where you gotta be like, do I have any coke on me? You know, like that's when.
Oh, that's when you come out and you're like, girl, you said you want to party.
No, if she's smashing some Long Island's in the afternoon, you're gonna need some cocaine.
Yeah, if you guys are doing cocaine at 2:00 in the afternoon, and you guys are both into it, then wipe
y'all
her
belong
up.
together.
Yeah,
exactly.
Y'all belong together. Yeah. Keep
Found your
both of these
soulmate.
motherfuckers out of the dating pool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a coke guy. You know, I am Hispanic, but I'm not a coke guy. It's just not my.
That's a damn
Why
lie.
did you
He's
mention
You don't
doing
do
right
it or you
now.
don't sell it.
Well, no,
Is that what
I
you
like it. It's like a birthday, you know. Like I think once a year is probably like a good time, you know. But
It's
you
pretty
know,
solid.
At some point, my heart's not gonna be able to take it, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, cocaine's
Literally
more
and metaphorically.
cocaine's more fun to do than to like actually do.
yeah,
It's more fun to be like, I got some cocaine,
yeah.
and then you're just like,
Yeah, well, it's like I find like it's like a late night thing. It's like okay,
Yeah.
if you started drinking earlier, you're gonna be drinking past a certain amount that you probably body would naturally say you're
you
done.
just wasted $100 to make a night that should have ended 3 hours ago.
That's true.
Continue.
You just want to be invited into the bathroom. Like that's
That's-
the feeling. That feels like
That's
Not me.
literally what everybody wants.
No, man. I don't
invited to the
know.
bathroom to do coke off the urinal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's intense, man.
urinal.
urinal.
You know? Yeah.
Real classy.
You have to
bro.
go into the stall, I think, if you're doing coke in the bathroom. Not
And
that
you
I
do
would
whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
High on
yeah,
cocaine.
yeah.
This is America.
Oh, shit.
Nice. Well, thank you all for that. And now, I have a follow-up question. Is, do you think that it's easier for? Can your significant other cheat on you and still love you? And we'll start with you, Emily.
Yeah, they can still love you, but they're a piece of shit.
I mean, it's like trust, you know, like they may still love you and you still may love them, but it kind of, I don't see, definitely fucks up the relationship because it's like even if you forgive them, are you ever going to be able to trust them again? It like, might turn you into the type of person who like goes through their phone and be like, bitch, where you going? Your mom's house? I don't believe that shit.
Yeah, trust. It's it's a tricky thing. How about you, Tori? Think you need.
So can you cheat on someone and still love them?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess you in your twisted brain still loves them, but I don't know, you're a fucked up person, I guess. Yeah, like she said. So maybe you're not capable of love.
Okay. Thank you for that. I'll have a follow up here in a moment. Slim.
Yeah, if a man does it, he definitely can cheat and go back home and still love the woman. But if a woman does it, she doesn't love that man at all. That's an abomination to everything that has been made on this earth. One of the most terrible bitches God has ever made. Yeah, man. Yeah. If a man does it, yes. Woman does it, no. For sure.
Nice. Thoughts, Tori?
This
on
guy's
that?
been hurt. God.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Like because I think to your the point that you're trying to make or alluding to in a sense, and I don't mean to put words in your mouth, is that because of men, well, as we mentioned earlier, always like chasing pussy, then it's not about the emotional act of cheating. It can just be entirely physical.
Yeah.
Whereas
a woman
maybe
is
on
going
the
to
other side
replace
is
you.
less. But
Yeah.
I think he's right.
If
Woman is.
If she fucks somebody else while she with you, nigga, that's your replacement.
She's looking for an out, but
Yes.
a man can be content keeping a side piece and keeping his girl.
Definitely.
For
And
sure.
taking care of both homes and shit too, man.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
no,
Dave
like,
Grohl,
let's not-
you know.
Dave Grohl.
Hey, shout out. I don't know.
Two
Shout
families.
out.
That
Yeah.
man's a legend.
Yeah. Now that song that I got a
Not
confession to
anymore.
make. I got a confession to make. It sounds a little different now.
Yeah.
Cool. No, and that's a great point, right? Like, do you guys agree that if a woman cheats on you, then it's on the out, but a dude can cheat on you and still, I guess, being committed is not necessarily the right word, but you know what I mean?
He can still find uses for you. Is probably the right expression.
I wouldn't say
Still
uses.
find a use for
Yeah,
you.
that sounds kind of fucked up. Like, hey, you got your forklift license, bitch. Come on.
Basically,
Let me
yes.
Jump on this shit.
I wouldn't be
Terry called out,
surprised
you know
if
what I'm
that's
saying?
why he's keeping her around. He doesn't know when he's going to need that forklift.
Could he
license.
love her?
No, I think that a woman fills the role of an object to a man usually. So
Yeah, he just needs a notary.
you can go out and use a microwave and still come home and use your blender.
Really, what's useful about women that men are looking to use as an object?
That's a great
I'm not
question.
answering that question. I think you know the answer to that.
No, I you're the one that posted. I really like the audience might not know. Like, in which ways besides sexually is there another way, or do you mean just like a sexual object?
No, I mean sexually. I mean domestic labor. I mean emotional labor.
What does emotional labor mean?
Whoa, It's not my job to educate you.
No, it's for the audience. It's not for me.
It's making
I am an
space
ally.
for
Don't
emotions. Men don't do that. Women do it more.
Okay. I feel like you're triggered. This is not becoming you.
I'm not triggered.
For the audience. Okay, but you mentioned right, like, do you guys agree that men view women as labor?
No, not at all. Hell nah. Yeah. It's more work to keep a woman like happy than it is like usually for a woman to keep a man happy. You know what I'm saying?
How do you mean?
All right. Usually, right? You know what I'm saying? You can't speak in absolutes, of course. You know what I'm saying? But usually, bro, it's like you have that title of provider, protector, X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? And that shit can really take a toll. You know what I'm saying? You taking care of 4 and 5 people at a time. You know what I mean? All the weight of that is on
4
you.
and 5 women?
No,
at a time?
no.
Baby mamas?
No. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the kids and, you know what I mean? Whatever the fuck the household issues and shit are. All you got to do is wash some dishes, give up some ass, and maybe a high five every now and again. I don't think that's too much to ask for. You know what I mean?
So what is it that women are expecting that's so impossible in a relationship?
Also, like,
I never said anything about it being impossible.
Protect her. What are you protecting her from? What are you protecting her from in this day?
What are you providing her to?
Her own thoughts
like
sometimes,
receipts.
man. Oh, shit, I'm protecting her from her own thoughts, man. You know, a lot of women don't know how to think, bro.
Oh my God, this guy's still a narcissist. That's funny.
I'm trying to be humble.
Yeah, with your narcissism.
Name calling.
Now that's one. That's what I've heard. A new one that it seems very popular. For women to call men narcissists. I feel like it's on the
very hip.
in the zeitgeist.
That's why I'm saying it. It's because it's like Riz.
What do you mean that he's a narcissist?
Giat. What?
What do you mean like he's a narcissist? And
he's,
just in the
he's actively talking about like gaslighting women he's with that they can't think straight. What did you say?
I never said me. I'm. You know what I mean?
I was talking about. Is that what you said?
You know what I mean?
You got to tell them what to think. Is that what you said?
Well, question to you. You earlier mentioned, right, that women are more emotionally connected to their feelings, I think, right? And like emotional labor.
No, they are more emotionally intelligent. They're connected to their feelings and they don't let that affect other people the way men do.
Yeah. And hold on.
Yeah.
And
so?
I think what he's mentioning, maybe that's the disconnect there, that he sees that emotional intelligence as like you said, protect her from her thoughts. Is that kind of like what you mean?
Yeah. You know, because sometimes you can be so like in your own mind. You know what I mean? Just like I feel like this. Like, okay, it's cool to feel however you're feeling. You know what I mean? But let's look at it from a logical standpoint. You know what I mean? Like, not saying that you're right, not saying that you're wrong, but this may be a better way to go about it. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Not talking about like, hey, bitch, feel happy right now. Not like that. You know what I mean?
Okay. That's the emotional intelligence part, though, where it's like sometimes women just want to talk about their feelings and not be solution oriented.
That's something I've heard before. Yeah, that like when a man asks, or when a man like talks about an issue he has, like he's looking for a solution, and women's more likely just to be venting. She's not really looking for a solution.
If you're having an issue with your coworker, sometimes it's like, I just need to shit talk my coworker for a second and not like, I'm not looking for how to fix this situation.
My favorite thing is
again, protect them from their thoughts. If you bring something up that's obviously bothering you, you like, I just want this shit to keep bothering me. I don't want a solution. That sounds fucking crazy.
Yeah, could that be considered toxic?
Yes, toxic as fuck, bro. Thank you, man, for another hip
I'm not
term.
calling it that. I'm asking.
I don't know. I mean, y'all don't ever vent your issues, man. Like,
they do. They just don't see it as that.
Well, I mean, it's like
they do with their
like,
guys,
especially with the consideration of like, all right, this person at work I hate. You know, I've been there a million times. I fucking vent to her all the time about people I hate at my job, and it's like, what am I gonna do? Fire him? He's not my boss. I'm not his boss. Like, you know, like sometimes you can only vent. You know, what are you gonna do? Quit your job? Now, like it's You know, like
No,
sometimes
that
there's
makes
not a
sense.
solution to the problem.
Most of the
Or
times
you know what
there is
could
not.
happen with you not liking that person. You know, you can come up to that person like, hey man, you know, I've noticed we had an issue. You know, I had a problem with you X, Y, and Z doing blah 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 blah, and y'all can come together in some kind of agreement. Like, well, you know, I didn't know it offended you so much. I'll stop. Or hey man, I didn't know you didn't like my personality. I think the best thing to do is just for us to stay away from each other. Solution. You can always do something about something.
You're trying to tell me that you don't talk shit about anybody. If you
I
got
talk
a
shit
problem
about
with
everybody.
somebody, you're gonna go right to
I talk
them.
shit about everybody. Usually, if I feel that deeply about something where it's fucking bothering me, and I feel like, I'm gonna say something to you.
Yeah, but like, imagine going up to someone at work and being like, "Hey, I don't like your personality. Let's just not interact
We
with
don't
each
get
other."
along. Let's address.
So like,
this.
if
That's
you're,
an HR complaint on you.
if you feel, well, you can get it's different steps. You know what I mean? Definitely, it's different steps. But if you're at the job and you're like, man, fuck, I don't feel like I'm getting paid enough, and you see everybody else getting a raise, right? You're not gonna go to HR and be like, hey, what's up with that shit, man? Let me get
Well, that's
I don't want to be. I just want to keep talking shit about keep on getting 11 fucking bucks. Well, that's on you.
well, that's a
Well,
different
they're saying that there's not always
thing.
a solution.
Yeah, that's more of a.
If you can find that solution,
You can track that solution there. That's just
Right.
like talk to your boss. But if like they're just like some fucking dumbass at work who you've been like, yo, dude, I don't want to hear your goddamn opinions about this shit. Like, stop talking to me, motherfucker. And like they still, for some weird reason, want to be your friend, even though like it's just like fuck, man. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? You know, just fucking enjoy. Like, it's fun. I'm not even gonna lie. It's fucking fun to be like, oh, like at first you're like, fuck, this guy sucks, and then after a while you're like. Listen to
guy
what
sucks
this,
so
listen to
bad,
what
I'm
this
like-
motherfucker said today. He is so fucking, and it's just like you get to laugh at him. You know,
Yeah.
you fucking listen to this clown. What he said today. You know,
Question for y'all, because I'm hearing a lot of things. I think maybe there's a balance, right? Because I agree, right? Venting, you know, people vent, right, like and whatnot. But as humans, can we get caught in a cycle of just like reliving a moment or focusing on a negative? And can that, you know, pepper our perception of reality, where if we focus on a different aspect of it, perhaps we would get out of that cycle, right?
Definitely.
And because, you know, you got to release the steam valve 100%, right? But I think that we sometimes find, because it's largely experiential, right? Like you could, if nothing bad has happened in your life and then the smallest thing happens, then it can seem like the worst thing in the world to you, and it is to you, right? And if without context you can get stuck in that feeling, kind of like if you have a friend, not gendered, right, that is always a down, always complaining, and let's say you see that they're doing better than maybe even the friend group or a lot of other people, is that kind of like to your point that you were saying a little bit, is that where in outside of the relationship spot that there is a reasonable component, and it's probably largely subjective, of where is venting and where is just like getting stuck in a cycle. And I don't know, is that bad?
Yes.
that's a good point. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I think that negative has kind of replaced crazy as a thing that people call women to like secretly call her a bitch, because ruminating over something is natural and it helps you make sense of things that have happened to you. I'm not saying you should stay there your whole life.
Does it? But isn't the experience
I have so many like
largely
instances
subjective?
where I'm like, I need to vent about this person and I need to be really mad about this person, and I go through it for like a couple months where I'm just like pissed off, venting, not doing anything about it, and then it's like, all right, I got that all out and now it's cool. I'm paying attention, staying in my lane. Like otherwise it would have been like, okay, let's confront the person, let's be solution focused, and then there would have been a big fight and conflict. Whereas like I just needed to vent about it for a couple months, and then now it's good and I'm not even thinking about it.
I think it's like the emotional equivalent of coming up with a really good comeback like days after a conversation. Like it's, you have to see it from that different perspective and realize what actually happened to you, because like when you're in something and if you're disassociated, like you might not even be fully aware of what's going on until years later.
Question for you, and thank you for sharing that. And I think that you just made a great point. You may have to like look through it back a little bit, right? But don't you like run the risk of only seeing it through your subjective lens of how you felt about it, and maybe not take into account the other factors. And by venting to other people, ideally you get a little bit of context of like, okay, am I seeing this wrong? Am I looking at this the correct way? And at that point, the dude giving solutions isn't that giving the feedback that's like, hey, does that actually make sense, or are you just getting caught up in a negative cycle of your perception, even though there may be an alternate solution or alternate answer as to how things that happen could have been perceived.
That you kind of lost me. But
Yeah. Basically, yeah. Sorry, I was like thinking of something.
Are you saying like, do you ever like stop and question whether you're in the right? Is that what you're saying?
Right. Because I'm a firm believer, like maybe not a firm believer. We can always like someone, but I think that we're the best people to lie to ourselves. You know, like because we know ourselves the best. And the tricky thing about it is that we may not know when we're lying to ourselves. It's usually, I find that whenever we come up with an explanation that makes us feel better about ourselves or a situation, that's the potential highest risk for you to lie to yourself, because it takes away a negative feeling and replaces it with like a little bit of relief or a nicer feeling, which is what you as the human, if you wanted to lie to yourself, would do. And so that sometimes because mine is not a permanent record, it's more of a subjective experience, then looking back on a prior experience through your own lens, knowing that you could potentially lie to yourself could help paint that in a picture that is just beneficially negative to the outside thing, and kind of like put it at risk. Not that it happens every time, but put us at risk of rational ways and not taking ownership for our part or maybe our fuck up in the situation. And that if, you know, like people vent, right? And if you like, and I don't know the woman experience, but if you've been to a bunch of dudes, I do think that men are probably more direct and more don't shy away from conflict. But like, no, bro, you're completely off base. And when we were talking about earlier that you mentioned that men sometimes want the solution is kind of like that same feedback that they would get to other men. And what you ladies are mentioning is like sometimes you just want the vent and to bring it all together. I think that what Slim was saying is like kind of like that balance. I wouldn't have put it the way that you put it, but so that's kind of like when I'm bringing it back. It's like, well, if you can vent and you can do, I think what you were mentioning earlier, Emily, that you can just think about it. Well, outside of an outside perspective, we can be tricked by our subjective experience into, you know, the ownership or relationship of those events.
But you just gotta let that happen for a little bit. Like, I agree with that, but I'm just like, let me lie to myself until I feel, unless I'm like emotionally available to be confronted about the lie. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because if you confront someone about their belief when they're not ready for it, it's like, that's going to end in conflict too. Yeah. Like, you just got to let them like live in it for a minute. And like, I'm pretty like self-aware where I'm like, look, I know the beef is one-sided and on me, but I gotta live in this for a second. Yeah. Like, I know it's in my head, but like, you gotta let me live in this, right? Like, I just gotta live in this for a little bit. Like, I know it's crazy,
that's something that like women understand. Right?
Yeah.
But also, I'd like to mention that not everybody lies to themselves for their own benefit. A lot of people exist in levels of self-loathing where they spend an entire experience making themselves the bad guy. And then they need to relive those experiences to realize that they're not.
Like an inferiority complex type thing? Or?
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking of a very specific example about the job I used to have. And it's like, I hated this dude I worked with, right? But he thought we were friends. Like, so even if I like am vindicated and not liking this person, it's like, I'm definitely doing something wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, even if
like
it's
fake. Like
I feel and that's where you start to be like, it's like I'm not doing anything to nurture this friendship, but it's like, I don't know. It's like at the end of the while, you're like, is he delusional or am I fucking delusional? You know?
Yeah.
Like you start to, I think that's rational at least. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just insecurity rearing its head again, but it's like one of those things where it's like at a certain point you do start to be like, what the fuck? What am I doing here? You know?
Yeah. No, I completely agree.
Is it fair to say that you should kind of watch who you're venting to, because if you're venting to a like-minded individual, you're gonna come up to the same. You know what I mean? Or should you vent with someone who has no skin in the game? They're neither left nor right. They're gonna play it right down the middle. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you think it's a safe bet for women to vent to men?
Depending on the subject, bro. Yeah, depending on the subject. You know what I mean? Because sometimes, and I've been a part of this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've been passionate about the silliest shit to me. I didn't even understand how this is like a big fucking issue, right? But you still try to be there and be like, okay, let me hear it all the way out before I provide my input. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what I've learned, right, in these 35 years of living, that what I say is now, hey man, I trust and believe that you'll make the right decision. And bitch, figure it out on your own. Because if I say this, you're gonna go do this, and if I do this, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna do that. So hey man, give you the confidence to live that shitty life that you're about to go through.
Okay, nice. Any Tori, did you expect that you're gonna find these perspectives today?
Oh, yeah. No, this looks about right. I'm having fun.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
Good.
about right.
Yeah.
This feels about right.
Awesome. Let's hear. Let's give it a little palate cleanser. We'll watch another video.
Y'all ever tried love bombing someone? Okay, why does it work? The men are onto something. Try it.
Now, love bombing. What does love bombing mean to you? And we'll start with you, Emily.
When someone just like tells you how great you are all the time and like brings you a bunch of gifts and is like, you're the best thing in the world.
Okay, is that good or bad?
I think it depends on the intent. Like, some people use that to be like, all right, I did all this for you.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have to text me every day because I'm bringing you gifts, and like you have to spend every weekend with me because I think you're great.
Okay.
So if you're like,
so you're asking to reciprocate the love bomb?
Yeah, or use it as like a method of control. That's like the negative part. But if you're just like, if you're genuinely just like, I think you're great and I want to give you a bunch of stuff and like text you you're amazing every single day, then that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, nice. Thank you. How about you, Nate? What do you think is love bombing?
I guess it's kind of like being hot and cold. But my thing, I was kind of distracted by that video because I hate that shit, man. Where like and I don't even disagree that like there's a lot of toxicity and a lot of it comes from masculinity, but like I hate when people are like, man, have you ever tried being shitty? Men do it, and it's awesome. And it's just like, all right, well, if we're trying to fix these problems with our society, it's like, do you want equality or do you want just to be the one with the fucking boot on somebody's neck? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, do you want us to be equal or do you want just to have that same power dynamic, but you're the one in power? That's what I saw with that 10-second video. It's just like, oh man, have you tried love bombing? It's awesome. And it's like, shouldn't we be moving away from this? Like,
have you tried this thing where you convince someone that their reality is false? It's called gaslighting. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like we're all becoming aware of all these psychological techniques that people use, and instead of like, okay, now we're aware, fucking Alcoholics Anonymous, the first step is admitting you got a problem. But it's like, but I want that.
The men aren't admitting it. It's a male problem, and the men don't admit it, so the women just have nothing left to do but try to call them out.
The love bomb.
But again, she's not saying like she's not making a pointed video about how love bombing is a bad thing and that we draw attention to it. She's not trying to find a solution. I mean, I guess she's probably trying to be funny.
Buzzword that she's gonna get.
She's trying to be funny. I get that, but it's just like, I don't know. And I'm gonna sound like a dickhead, but that kind of shit always bothers me.
It's not a very good video. It's not well thought out or that funny.
Yeah, just I hate that shit where like people like, man, like Toxicity. Try it sometime.
It's effective.
Masculinity sometime.
Yeah. And I have a few points that I'll touch on.
Victim blaming, it's so much fun. You should try it. Like, it's sarcasm.
It's like, yeah. It's like, what do you want? Do you want there to be an egalitarian society? Do you want equality in your relationship, or do you just want
to make money off the discourse?
You just want what men have.
It's
to be negative.
Question for you. In an egalitarian society, are men still chasing women?
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I feel like, and it's not a unique perspective, but I feel like right now, I mean, you could say that whatever, the 50s were a time where like there was a lot of toxicity, but there was defined gender roles. And I'm not saying that that's what we need, but it's just kind of like, I think everybody's confused nowadays. Because those still exist in the back of everybody's minds. But it's just like...
Well, we are a human animal, and
exactly.
Nothing has changed biologically in us, even our technological advancement.
So I mean, I understand that like we're all trying to aim towards something better, but it's like I don't think anybody knows what's right anymore, you know?
Yeah.
Who pays for dinner? Like
they don't know where we went wrong.
Yeah. Well, now there's all these new rules when like it's like I'm not saying things were better back then, but they were definitely simpler. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I find that, like we are, and thank you for your perspective. Just a quick comment on that. I find that it's not just relationships, but we live in a world where we think there are solutions. Maybe it's because it's so easy to find an answer on the internet. Whereas
that's a really good point. Yeah.
There are no solutions in life. There's just trade-offs, right? To your point earlier, right? Like maybe it wasn't better. There were trade-offs in the past, and then the trade-offs of today are something that we're still contending with because I wanted to ask a follow-up question. Do you think that in an egalitarian society, women would still like to be chased?
That's the thing is like
everybody wants to be chased.
That's the thing.
No, but that doesn't answer. So like because we talked about earlier that it's that men like that women have like the pussy on the pedestal. I don't know if those were your words, but paraphrasing.
I think that's 4-year-old virgin's
words. And that there is like a certain way that even the human animal behaves. And in this egalitarian society, I'm asking because if it is truly meant to be egalitarian, there is going to be a little bit of that almost going against that. But we'll get into that in a minute. Tori, I wanted and thank you for your perspective, Nate. I think that it is confusing today.
Yeah, everything's so confusing, and I feel like that's something that's not. Maybe it's not the most important thing, but it's never said. Like even if it's not as important as anything else, it's just never spoken. In like obviously toxicity and
I feel like we're all gaslighting ourselves at this point.
You love that word. I wanted to follow up on that word.
It happens every day.
Question for you.
Yeah, I think it's a human thing. People gaslight each other.
I'm saying we're gaslit by fucking
men
government
gaslight women,
and
gaslight
corporations.
Women. Well, women gaslight men. Everybody gaslights each other.
Well,
like you said, and not even intentionally sometimes. Like memory is not an objective thing. It's not a video you can watch.
Yeah.
And most people are in their feels about everything. So it's just like, So it's just like, oh, you're gaslighting me.
And well, that's decided,
It's like, no, I'm honestly not. I just this is how
it's
how
better.
I saw it.
Isn't it better to be in your feels by like getting rid of the toxic masculinity and be in your feels more?
No, I definitely think that like being able to express your emotions is a lot healthier. But like, again, like if some, like not everything I do is a gaslight. Sometimes I just sometimes I just remembered things wrong, or they remember things wrong, and they're remembering that they're not remembering that they remembered things.
And I think you make a great
then
point.
That's not gaslighting because gaslighting is intentional.
Okay.
Well, but it's hard to prove intent. But like what I think that you made an astute call is like sometimes you don't know, right? And this kind of like jumps us back to our earlier point. Then if you try to perceive certain things as gaslighting, you could be wrong. Then you could completely go circle in a cycle over your head about how you're being gaslit, and the other person may not even know
I think
that.
the term gaslights people sometimes.
It does. But in the term gaslight is a question that I had for you, Tori, and thank you, Nate, for sharing that. If there is a person that is delusional, right? Like, let's say they are objectively delusional, right? Like whatever it may be, like whatever they're believing.
You can't prove that, so it can't be objective.
Let's say that let's say they're 5'8" and they think they're 6'1".
Boom.
Okay, let's say they're delusional.
But how do we know he really thinks that?
No,
he says he is.
He says he is.
His Tinder profile says 6'1".
Yeah, and in this hypothetical, like the delusional part is given, right?
Okay.
Okay, so let's say that there's this delusional person, and somebody tries to give a perspective that it's like, hey, no, this is not real. This is a delusion. Wouldn't that person feel like that they're being gaslit?
Yes.
Yeah.
So how can you sometimes measure, especially if our experience is so subjective, that some people that feel that they're getting gaslit, maybe they are delusional?
So what's your point?
That you mentioned, right? Like you mentioned gaslighting a lot, right? Like, so what I'm saying is that, to Nate's earlier point, maybe we are focusing on the gaslighting too much. Sometimes we don't even know. We could perceive it as gaslighting, but if we're lying to ourselves about something, maybe it's not.
For sure.
So you're saying that maybe it doesn't exist, or we should act as if it doesn't.
Am I gaslighting by saying that?
Or is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that unless we are 100% rock solid that we're not delusional, and I would argue that maybe this requires venting to different people and getting their point of view, even if it's contrary to what we might think.
Like Donald Trump is saying they're eating the cats, and if we tell him they're not eating the cats, we're gaslighting Donald Trump.
Or he thinks we are.
Yeah, exactly. That's what Arturo is saying.
Something like that. I mean, I wasn't going to bring Trump into it, but
sorry, that was just the most recent ridiculous thing.
So I guess I just still don't understand the question.
The question is is it useful to focus on gaslighting when we could be compromised in what we think is
I'm
gaslighting?
tired of. A lot of people think that you shouldn't attribute to malice what you can attribute to stupidity, and I think that's something that men have used to make gaslighting easier for them. No, you should really try to be aware if someone is literally trying to manipulate you out of thinking what actually happened to you happened. I think that, yes, we should focus on that, and we should be concerned about that, even though it can't be proven always, or maybe even ever, I guess is what you're saying.
Yeah, Tori talks to me a lot about what's the term you use? Weaponized incompetence. But it's like, I'm incompetent. And I've never hidden that from anybody. I was 45 minutes late for the first day with my wife. She's known from the fucking beginning that I'm a dumbass. And now sometimes, and I love my wife, and I don't think she's going to watch this, but but it's like sometimes she'll be like, why did you do that? What was the rationale? It's like, I'm fucking stupid. There was no thought process. I did something absent-mindedly. It wasn't to hurt you. I'm sorry that it did, but it's like...
But your wife has also experienced gaslighting in her past relationships.
Yeah,
so.
Again, but it's like, I didn't do it.
But you
that's what she stayed. She liked it. She's like, this is what I like,
Yeah, I've had previous relationships where they're like, well, I have been in a domestic violence situation in previous relationships, and it's like, I hear you and I respect that.
Were you the aggressor or the other way around?
Yeah, no.
She was talking about me when she said that.
And it's like, I respect that, and but it's like, I don't do that, Not that's like that old Chris Rock joke,
get a medal for not doing anything wrong.
Yeah, but it's just like saying, it's like, I'm not trying to get a medal for not doing anything wrong, but I'm also not trying to get blamed for somebody else's fucking shit. You know what I mean? It's like, I can lose my temper. I'm a human being. Does not mean I'm gonna ever cross the line into violence. And
she
because
doesn't know that.
Because you've experienced violence before does not. I mean, I don't know. I know what Tori's trying to say.
Right?
But
should you be guilty because
exactly,
of what's happened to other people?
It's just like, I didn't do it. I'm sorry, but it's like, I'll work on myself, but I can't. I'm a human being, and I've been a human being the whole time.
Nate, you're focused more on the slight it is to you that she has trauma in the first place. Instead of being like, oh, my girl's got trauma, you're like, well, I didn't fucking do anything. That's just, a lot of men have that mentality where it's just like, well, I didn't fucking do anything. And it's like, well, that's not good enough anymore.
Yeah.
Well, that's just, I mean,
what do you mean it's not good enough anymore?
To just sit idly by and just not do anything wrong, but also not call out.
Oh, you can't do shit wrong and still be wrong? You can sit back and not do shit wrong and still be wrong? That's fucking terrible. You know what I mean? I've had motherfuckers rob me before. Yeah. Boom. Motherfucker robbed me. Just do I walk down the street like, hey, man, are you going to fucking, don't pull it, man. What are you? No, I don't, man. Everybody's not on that same bullshit, man. You know what I'm saying? You experience what you experience. You know what I'm saying? You hopefully you getting wiser from it. You know what I'm saying? You can identify the shit that leads up to that robbery. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
you can't. Well, fuck, you gonna blame me for not doing the shit?
You're not getting blamed for it.
What am I getting? Like, damn, you just sitting by acting like ain't shit wrong. Yeah, bitch, because I did nothing wrong.
Okay, what do you want for that?
Could you angle your mic a little bit down or closer? Yep.
If she can be on her own bullshit about her own trauma, but you didn't do anything wrong, should she be with you? Like, that doesn't seem like a really great partner to me.
Well, don't put your bullshit on me. I've done nothing wrong to you. Heal on your own. People think it's a
I think
it's a
calling it
motherfucker-
bullshit and saying to go heal yourself is like...
We're dealing with semantics, though. You feel me? Like, people...
Don't you care, though? Like, if you love this person?
People think that, you know what I'm saying, that it's somebody here on this earth that's meant to fix you. No, motherfucker, you fix yourself.
That's not true.
You have to do the work on your own. You know what I'm saying? Can I assist along the way? Yeah, I can fucking throw a mean ass pass, bro. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I can definitely do that. But to hold me accountable for your growth, whether it be physically, financially, spiritually, that's bullshit, man. That's fucking terrible as fuck.
Who said anything about holding you accountable? I'm saying that as a partner of somebody who's experienced trauma, you should just give a fuck. That's all I'm saying is you should.
Well,
you don't have to.
It's not that you don't give a fuck. It's just like, I don't have a time machine. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, sure. And I think this maybe speaks to earlier conversation. They're probably gonna try to give their version of love of solves of like, okay, this happened, but not everybody. I'm not like this. So let's move past it, and then to your earlier point, right? Like the disconnect between kind of like just like marinating in it, you know, versus okay, well, that is a traumatizing experience that happened to you, right? And it might have peppered the view of the world, but the world is not like this, and that could be perceived as gaslighting if you want to stay living in that world. But from the other point of view, it could be seen as like, well, I want you, this is not the reality that we're living right now. I'm not that person. You're stuck there, but, you know, we need to move forward.
I mean, we all got to roll the boulder up the hill. You know what I mean? We all have our own personal baggage.
For sure.
I respect that your boulder's bigger than mine, but I physically cannot help you roll that up the hill, you know? It's that type of thing. It's like, I recognize you've experienced some crazy shit in your life, and I love you and I feel for you. But I'm not a therapist. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know what to do. And then the thing about it is, like, you want them to be healed. You want that for them because you love them. But it's like, unfortunately, I will be your partner. I will be your husband, but I cannot be that person for you.
For sure.
You know?
For sure. Like, I have a joke, right? It's like,
I think Dory's going to love this one.
I start out... oh, yeah, she's going to love it.
Sexist jokes.
Bro, I start out saying, are you all familiar with Ike and Tina Turner, right? Depending on the age of the crowd. You know, they be like, yeah, I'm familiar with Ike and Tina Turner. I'm like, man, I just found out some interesting news. Hey, what is Ike Turner's favorite sport? Does anybody in here know? Soccer. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's funny as hell to me. You know what I'm saying? And I tell that joke because, like, yeah, was that a fucked up situation? Definitely. How am I dealing with it? I'm dealing with it like I deal with most shit, man, through laughter. Have I seen motherfuckers do wild shit? Hell yeah. But I can't be what I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I think everything's funny for the most part. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I just wanted to plug my joke. That was it.
Yeah. Thoughts, story? You seem like you had a reaction to that?
No, not really.
See, I pulled it back.
I'm just saying, like,
soccer.
I
got the most obvious domestic violence joke, like.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
What kind of beer does Tina Turner like? Domestic. It's like,
oh,
it's so easy.
Like, that's a good one.
It's so fucking easy, and everybody does it because they have a good sense of humor, not because they actually don't give a fuck that she got her ass beat for years. For years.
Question for the panel, and now since we're talking about this topic, if a woman punches a dude or slaps a dude in the face, is he allowed to hit her back? Emily, we'll start. No, okay.
No, he's allowed to call the police and get her arrested, though.
Okay. Yeah.
I've had that done to me.
Have you punched someone in the face?
And they called the cops on me.
Did you punch someone in the face?
Yeah, but he deserved it.
Okay.
I feel
But
like
he
you're gaslighting
deserved
right
it.
now. He deserved it. That's bullshit.
Either way, hitting someone in the face is assault.
Oh,
For
is
sure.
that gaslighting? Like,
Hell yeah.
Sometimes they do
Yeah.
deserve getting hit in the face, but at the end of the
I mean,
day, that's
everyone
assault.
Who's to say you
Getting hit in
deserve
the
it?
face.
Because if you say that about that guy deserved to get hit in the face, then I could advocate for every guy that punches a woman that, like, she deserved it.
Yeah, but then
How do those two things even
Because you
have
said he
anything to
deserved
do
it.
with one another?
But
You said he
So
deserved it.
from
So I'm
now
saying,
and
well,
forever
shit,
on,
she
every
deserved
woman who's been punched in the face has deserved it.
No.
Thank you. Good night.
That's your stance?
No, I'm saying
Oh.
like, why did he just say because I said I punched someone once and they deserved it?
I think what he said is because Emily mentions like he deserved it, but they punched, so she punched her. By using that same rationale, couldn't a man say, "Well, she deserved to get punched, so I
say
punched
whatever
her"?
he wants. It's probably not gonna go over well for him.
Exactly.
But do you agree with Emily's point that if he deserves it, because you mentioned you've done this, then it's okay to strike somebody?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we
did
have
deserve it, but it wasn't
collectively,
okay.
as a society, we have agreed you can't punch people in the face. Like you're going, if you punch someone in the face, you're going to jail.
Them's
like
the rules.
period.
Yeah.
Like
Well, that's the thing too. Is like, there's people in your life, like nowadays, like I'm not even saying anybody in particular, but there are people who recognize that like they can say whatever they want to you, and it's against the law for you to hit them. That's like, you know how many times I've been bullied by people who are smaller and weaker than me just because they know I have like an internal insecurity that they can, you know what I'm saying? It's like so, a lot of people deserve to be hit.
David's
but that's
gonna
not,
take down Goliath this time.
yeah, I mean, it's just like bullying isn't always the big guy picking on the little guy. It's you're picking on the guy who won't hit you. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah.
And then that's happened a lot of times in my life. And
Yeah.
I mean, I recognize that it's like, what are you gonna do, man?
Well,
Like,
that's why you got to join Cobra Kai. Strike first, strike hard.
There you go. Yeah, man. Yeah. Look, Karate Kid.
Yeah. No. And I do think that so like let's keep going around. You said it's not okay. Like if a woman hits a guy, is it a reasonable? Oh, I didn't ask you. If a woman hits a guy or punches him in the face or slaps him in the face, even though you should call the cops, I agree with you, Emily. Is it reasonable that she should expect that she could get punched out as well?
I think if you're hitting someone, if you're in a relationship with someone and you're hitting them, you're not a rational person.
Yeah.
Like there's something wrong with you. Like
Definitely.
there's just that's not where you need to operate from.
But she like if you put hands on somebody, is it a
I
reasonable
think
expectation that you're gonna get hands back?
I think there's no I think if you're putting hands on someone, you're not thinking rationally. So you like whether you're not thinking that someone's gonna hate you back because you're not thinking rationally.
Because you think you're invincible, probably.
Yeah.
Especially women who hit men. Like I definitely.
Yeah.
There's some kind of.
Well,
I
I do
mean,
think that women think they're
women
invincible.
can definitely
I'm not gonna lie to
be
you.
like physically abusive to men. Like that is possible. Like I'm not saying it's only one way.
Yeah.
It's just statistically there are more instances of men being physically abusive than women.
That's reported.
Do you have something you want to tell us?
Yeah, but at the same
Yeah,
time, it's
yeah,
like women don't report also. So it's like
Because I
we
would
just don't
argue,
know.
because to your reported abuse, right? Like, are you saying that basically, if a man's been hit by a woman, that he might not be as prone to just be like, call the cops, oh, she hit me, or
Right.
something like that?
I just think nowadays everything is so confusing. There's so many differing opinions. You know what I mean? I've heard from like, you know, the kind of girl I'm talking about. You know, septum piercing, freaking. You know,
I've dated some of those.
yeah, it's just like freaking, you know, the grunge black denim vest girls, and they'll say equal fights, equal rights, or you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So I don't agree with it.
I've never
but
heard
also,
a woman say that.
I've heard
I
women
feel
say
like,
it before.
I
and
feel
I'm
like that's usually what men say.
I'm gonna get that tatted on me, man. I like that.
I've heard it. I did not make this saying up. I heard it from the exact person I'm describing.
Yeah.
Like, and they went on to tell a story about how like they said that to a guy and he punched her in the face, like not in like just like in a like she consented to it type of thing. It's just like I ended up having sex with that guy that night. So I'm just kind of like,
what the fuck?
Dang,
yeah,
both of
so-
them need help.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
She belongs to the street.
so I'm kind of just like that's where I'm I'm trying to do everything I can right, but it's just like I don't understand our society. And I'm 32 years old, man. I'm not some old fogey by any stretch of the means. I mean, I don't, you know what I mean? I'm just like.
So you think the trad wives are bad, but the patriarchy really screwed these girls he's talking about.
Yeah, my thing is like, I am just confused these days about what is right, you know? What is and I guess maybe that's the problem. It's like when they talk about how there is no solution, you know? And maybe that's just the man in me, like women want to vent and men want to find a solution. So that's probably what's so confusing about me is that there's just no solution. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different perspective, and you could have the weirdest perspective come out of the person that you would never expect to have that opinion, you know? So I don't know.
Yeah, no,
Game
absolutely.
over.
So I don't know, but
so question, like if that's what that girl mentioned, if a woman punches a guy, do you think that it's a reasonable expectation for her to think that he might hit her back?
I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess
by cause and effect laws of probability. Yes.
Yeah. Slim.
It's reasonable.
Motherfucker hit me, man, woman, or beast. It's a 95% chance someone's gonna get the 8 count. You know what I mean? I'm gonna fuck you up, man. Keep your hands off of me, and I keep my hands off of you because you don't know what kind of trauma I've experienced. You know what I'm saying? And you don't know what my back. I might be. Y'all might not know, man. You know what I'm saying? I could be a cold ass amateur boxer from back in the day, and you hitting me is just a reflex. And I just fuck around and fire off on you. You know what I'm saying? So,
everybody takes BJJ these days. You know, you don't ever know. You could
dude,
swing
like
at somebody and miss, and then they got you in a freaking armbar.
Oh, he said BJ. I thought it was like a super blow job. Like,
what
kind of shit is
that
that?
mean?
That's the Brazilian
Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, BJJ.
Yeah, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you know?
Yeah, so it's like, I don't know. Nowadays, it's just you don't know who's gonna hit you.
You don't know that they might be crazier than you. Where we grew up, there was a woman who tried to confront some guy who was driving erratically, and he ended up shooting her and killing her like in broad daylight.
See, that's crazy, man.
It's like you don't know.
That's what That's why I always say, man. When you do something to someone, you no longer have the right to determine what happens next. You have no right. You should definitely always expect the worst. You do anything to somebody. You walk up and slap me, you know, and I punch you out for 3 minutes. You can't be like, oh, he took it too far. You don't know. You slapping me took it too far for me. You know what I mean? You would have been better off punching me. Maybe I'll take a slap a little bit more disrespectful. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Was it with a glove?
Oh, man. Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's definitely a 187 if you slap me with a glove. We've traveled back in time for the disrespect, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going for it.
Just dressed like fucking Little Lord Fauntleroy.
Your references are a little
wild. That's why I don't understand modern, because I'm still stuck in fucking 1812.
Yeah, your references are just out of control.
No, you called me by my name. You didn't say nigga. I don't think you stuck in 1812. Dinged it.
No, but I do think that it's to your point, Nate, right? I think the reason why it's so confusing, right, is because maybe, or a potential reason is that we are not being honest with the trade-offs about what we're really trading off. Mm-hmm. You know, like we are like, okay, to your point, are replacing the patriarchy with this, you know, like, or dismantling the patriarchy, whatever it may be, with whatever concept of what is called equality or egalitarianism. But there are significant trade-offs with that, right? And in the search for solutions, it seems like we want our cake and eat it too. And I don't know if society is, you know, like willing, because if we're gonna have our cake and eat it too, somebody's not eating cake, right? Like the other side is gonna be, and maybe that's what we're at. Like this, like, you know, I don't know. It seems like the division, not only politically between sexes, you know, men and women or whatever, it seems to be at an all-time high. It seems like we can't work together. Is that what you guys feel, or like what are you guys' sort of perception on the society? And we'll start with you, Slim.
Hey, I'm sorry, man. I got distracted from a text, man, from back home. Man, can you go around the room?
Yeah. We'll start with you, Emily.
Oh shit.
Relationships with men and women, you know, like are the relationships between men and women better now or 20 years ago?
Definitely better now. I mean, I don't know. Well, I'm just saying, like, from a historic perspective, women have more rights.
No, the relationships between men and women.
Oh, like whether the like relationships between men and women are more toxic now? I don't think so. I think like just toxic people have a bigger platform right now. You know, with social media, like all of these influencers, like if you're an influencer, like I think there's a higher probability that you're a toxic person. Because like you want to make money off of people looking at you. So those are the people we're seeing the most. Like those are the ones we're seeing on Instagram every day. But I don't think that's like the true sample of like what women are like. Like that one woman you always show who's like, I don't like coffee. Like she's an influencer. Like that's not an average. That's not a normal person. Like obviously there's something wrong with her. Like, but there's not something wrong with all women.
Yeah, your
because,
average person.
Influencers are toxic.
Yeah, there's definitely like a hate economy going on when it comes to social media, which is like the cognitive dissonance of like somebody being like, I hate this motherfucker. And it's like, you're fucking lining their pockets by watching their videos, you know? And and that's the thing. It's like people will literally do shit just to piss you off. Like even if they don't believe it, you know, like I've seen TikTok videos or where people are renovating houses and I watch like HGTV shows. I like that shit, you know? Yeah. And it's like, it pisses me off because I'm like, they fucking ruined that beautiful staircase. And, you know, like, and it's like, well, I'm fucking buying in, man. They got me. They fucking
You're watching
me.
till the end.
I just paid for that renovation by watching their fucking advertisements, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the thing about it. It's just like, so there's such a fucking divide.
Yeah.
You know, what's profitable? People are able to profit off of other people's anger. Yeah. And it's just like that's disgusting. But it's also not new. Yeah. It's just in a new form, you know.
Yeah, no,
people
I agree.
What they say about Howard Stern, it's like people tuned in to hate him, you know.
Or Jerry Springer.
Yeah, anything, you know,
Howard Stern.
Morton Downey Jr., all that shit, you know.
Now, I want to ask you a follow-up question before we continue with the panel, because you mentioned something that you were getting rid of your toxic masculinity. What is toxic masculinity to you?
I think most masculinity is toxic, you know?
Really? Okay. How do you
even
mean?
In like a negative thing. Like it doesn't have to be outwardly toxic, but like, yeah, that whole thing about not being able to share your emotions, fucking, you know, just not being able to express, like anger is like the only emotion that a man should feels in this, maybe not in this day and age, but feels comfortable expressing. And it's just like, you're not able to express sadness or disappointment. It's just like, that's what's such a confusing time. It's like, at least where I grew up, you know, I grew up with a single mom, right? And then every other man in my life, boyfriends, friends of boyfriends of my mom, you know what I mean? It's like everybody was teaching me to be a man and they were all fucking losers. You know what I'm saying? It's like you need to be able to express pain and anguish. You need to be able to vent. You can't just always find a solution, you know? Like, so that's what I'm saying is like, just people are, you know, I feel like I'm not expressing myself right, but it's just like, I feel like masculinity is just inherently toxic, you know? It's, I don't know. I feel like I'm not expressing myself.
No. I think you're doing a great job, and I'll touch
like
on
obviously outward toxic masculinity is a problem, but like a lot of the negativity I have towards myself is because I'm trying to live up to this ideal of what it means to be a man, and it hurts, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think it's probably going to be very confusing. It's going to be very hard to live up to the expectation of what it means to be a man.
Because nobody knows anymore.
No. If the expectation of what it means to be a man is told by women.
Right.
You know, like, because I don't think on the other foot you would have, you know, like, women would take too kindly to, this is what a woman, you know, like, should act like.
A real woman.
You know, like, or a real woman that's not, you know, feminine, that's not, that doesn't have toxic femininity from men, right? Because what the fuck would men know about being women? And on the opposite end, what would women know about being a man, right? Like, and to the earlier point that you were mentioning, right? Like, about, I do think that it's important to, like, you know, be vulnerable just for people, right? And be able to connect with your emotions, right? And if you know, we're this animal that's supposed to be in balance, or it's the same overall. And you mentioned, Emily, earlier that sometimes you just want to, like, vent and, you know, like, and vent about it and just feel poorly. Then wouldn't the opposite side of the coin of the balance being having a more stoic kind of attitude to balance out that? Because let's say war breaks out, or strife, or there is a dangerous event, right? Like somebody breaks into your house. Do you want somebody that is fully connected to their feelings about what's happening there, or somebody that's willing to be stoic about it and solution for a potential threat on the other side?
It's good. That's an interesting point. I do think you can be both. You know, like you can. I'm still 6'2". You know what I mean? Like,
so
yeah. If somebody
I don't think all masculinity is inherently toxic, like you said. Like there are traits of masculinity that are toxic, like violence or aggression, competition, that type of shit. But like,
by the way, you're the one that you say you punched a guy in the face, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, I am quite comfortable in my masculinity, obviously. But like, just, I don't know, having shoulders, that's not toxic. So like, I don't know, being strong or
that's a good point.
Stoic
Chasing women
isn't necessarily, if you're being, stoicism is okay as long as it's not like withholding or stonewalling or like done with a manipulative purpose. Like if you're just stoic because you don't let shit bother you, that's cool. But
yeah, because otherwise it's
faking.
Honestly, when I vent to someone, I don't want them to be like as hyped up as me. Like
I'd be like, calm down.
Yeah, it's like, look, I'm supposed to be the crazy one right now.
And another thing about that guy.
Yeah, like, exactly. Like, okay, weird, chill out.
That's funny. I end up being that person. Like I'm pissed too, and then they'll be like, maybe I'm not mad.
And then they start defending him.
I'm like, okay,
it's not that bad of a guy actually.
It's actually kind of nice.
This is about me, my crazy right now. All right.
He bought my lunch the other day. He's kind of nice.
You know what? Don't worry about it.
No, and thank you for that, and maybe let's continue on that, because I'll have a follow-up question. But Tori, you mentioned that you don't think masculinity is toxic, right?
No, not inherently.
I think like Brian Simpson on his last stand-up special, he said masculinity is a prison, and I feel like that's a more accurate representation.
A prison? What do you mean?
That's dark. That's deep.
A prison or a prism?
A prison.
Okay, yeah.
It's just like, it's something you can't escape, you know? Like,
it's a caged bird.
Yeah, exactly.
That can't sing.
You're caging yourself in.
Is it a cage, or is it just a quality of a sex, right? Like, you could say that you're caged by your human nature. Is that really
I guess what I'm trying to say
an attribute
is
of it?
Like, maybe not all, like Tori said, like maybe not all masculinity is toxic, but all performative masculinity is probably toxic, you know?
What about chopping wood? I guess maybe that's not performative.
I love chopping wood.
If you need the wood, it's not.
That's the thing about it is like doing traditionally masculine things makes me happy sometimes, but doing traditionally feminine things also makes me happy sometimes. Yeah. It's just like
Do you like being sitting down?
Yeah.
You do?
I don't want to. You turn on the light in the middle of the night. Like,
do you like to sit down to pee?
I don't like it, but it's like, what am I? I don't want to turn on the light in the middle of the night. You know, I mean, I do it.
Oh shit!
You ever had to wipe the seat off?
I like peeing sitting down, except the water's just too cold on my balls.
I like peeing standing up. You know.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
You're like,
it goes everywhere, but it makes me feel good about myself.
Yeah, you don't have to repaint the walls. You know, like cool. Slim. Thoughts on masculinity? Okay. Toxic, not toxic.
All right. See, I was prepared for that first joint.
Oh yeah.
I know. You know what I'm saying?
No, I forgot the question, so answer that one.
Okay. Do I believe that?
What was the question?
It was like, are the relationships between men and women better now or 20 years ago?
Oh yeah. Sorry, and I skipped you on that question, Tori. We'll we'll have you, and then we'll go back to Tori.
All right.
Because you're a man, you know.
Yeah, gotta go first. You know what I'm saying?
So true.
Nah, man. I think it's more fucked up now, and I believe y'all already, you know what I'm saying, touched on it, because we don't have those. It's so much. I don't even know how to articulate it, bro. It's like it's so much bullshit. For instance, Kevin Samuels, right? Kevin Samuels went out there. He spoke his piece on how relationships supposed to go.
Do y'all know who Kevin Samuels is?
No.
No, we'll pull up a clip here in a moment.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? He spoke his piece on what he feel like, how the world's supposed to work between men and women. You know what I'm saying? And you seen when that man passed, it was like women, they rejoiced in his death. You know what I mean? And I was celebrating, man. I thought that was really weird. You know what I mean? And 20 years ago, we had already established roles. You know what I'm saying? You're expected to do this. I'm expected to do this. And we just accepted it. Like, okay, you agree with that? Yeah. You agree with that? Yeah, cool. And we go into it as a union. Now it's, well, I'm not going to cook every day. I'm not going to go to work every day. You know what I mean? And this may be a man speaking. It's like, well, so what are we both going to have like part-time jobs? Are we going to both, you know what I mean? Like, are we both going to jump up when we hear something at night and you know what I'm saying, protect the house? Like, oh, it's your turn, bitch. I did it last time. Well, see, you know what I'm saying? Like, how does this work?
The roles aren't not as clearly defined.
Definitely. Thank you. Hell yeah.
Do you all think that adds to the confusion? And we'll start with you, Emily, because and something that you mentioned, Nate, earlier was, right, like that as we're doing this thing, we're homogenizing, you know, kind of like the roles in the population. Once again, thinking that it may be a solution, and maybe it is, all right? But I don't know if we are, and maybe that's what we're seeing now, the trade-off of that homogenization of, you know, the roles. And the question that I was going to ask you, I forgot the question I was going to ask you.
Damn, my bad, bro.
Yeah. But it was like, is that a good thing? Is the dissipating of roles a good thing?
I think so. I think it's people, well, I don't know. I think some people feel comfort in the clearly defined roles. That's why trad wives are a thing now, because they're like, it's comfortable to have this like clearly defined role. But like me personally, I like having more choice. Like, I don't.
Do you think they're choosing their role or not choosing their role?
Well, it's like there's a choice of like, do I want to get married? Do I want to cook every day? Do I want to have kids? Like, there's more of a choice with those things. It's not like, you know, in the 50s, it's like you had to get married, basically. Like, it was kind of like more of a social norm to get married and like to stay married. And now it's like, you don't have to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you had to back then either, right? Like, it was...
Right.
It was frowned upon heavily.
Yeah, I mean...
Spinsters and shit.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. And also, it's like women didn't have as much financial freedom, and it wasn't as accepted for women to be in the workplace. So it was kind of like you have to get married.
It was for
as a
survival.
woman. Yeah, it was like you had to, and then... like men had to have
been hard for
a wife because they didn't know how to cook, or like it wasn't like no one taught them how to cook, so like they needed a wife.
They just
to
need a
eat.
mom.
Yeah.
Now that they're not in their mom's house anymore.
Well, and that scenario, I think the woman wouldn't be working, right, in the traditional thing,
exactly.
right?
But now it's like there's more of a choice in that sense. I mean, some people never had a choice. Like. Sometimes, you know, it's not like back in the 50s all the women were staying home. There were still
single moms.
Single moms, or like
there's still deadbeat dads and shit back then too, you know.
Or like both parents still went out and worked.
Yeah, some still poor people. Poor people have existed.
So true.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they don't have microphones, so fuck.
Yeah, fuck them. Don't give them a platform. They'll probably rip the wood up and fix the hole in their roof.
Steal the copper wire.
Yeah, steal the copper wire from those speakers.
Well, I find that, you know, poor people probably would have less concerns about the social like issues and the war that we have, as opposed to just they have bigger fucking problems.
Yeah.
You know, like, Nate, do you think that gender roles are a good thing or a bad thing?
I think I'm pretty sure I've said it before. they're not. I don't think they're a good thing, but I do think that there's something. There's something at least to reduce the anxiety, and there's like a. I think I'm definitely not saying that we need to go back to the 50s, obviously, but there was, if I can say one good thing about the nature of those relationships, there was like a symbiosis. You know what I mean? The yin and the yang, and I think that's what we're missing now is not well-defined gender roles, but like well-defined roles, which may be toxic. I don't fucking know, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing wrong with the man being stay-at-home dad or whatever, as long as there's somebody, as long as they can afford it. You know what I'm saying? It's like
all relationships just need a chore wheel.
Exactly.
Then we're fine.
Exactly. That's really what it is. It's kind of just like you need to, like, I'm the breadwinner, you're the, and if it's, we're both breadwinners, if it's, you know, it's just, I feel like people, especially myself, get so anxious and confused and just uncertain about what my role is now. It's just kind of like it would be at least easier just to freaking, you know, like, okay, this is what I do and that's what you do. That's your role. Like, I do the dishes, you do the laundry. You know what I mean? Like, it's that type of shit. Like,
yeah.
I think
who mows the lawn?
I think we're better, but I don't think we're as good as we should be yet. You know what I mean? Like, I think we're at I think we shook up the board, and now we're just still trying to figure out where the pieces need to go, type of thing.
I think that all of us decided we don't want those. Well, not all of us, but most people are like, well, what if I don't want to have that attitude? And we need to do that for a little while longer until we're like, okay, so what are you willing to do? Because we all need to be doing something.
Yeah. And if you want to be a trad wife, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I don't think you should throw it in people's face and tell them that. That's the thing. Is like, don't tell people that your solution's the best, that it's a blanket solution. It's like, hey, if that's how your relationship works and it works, let it work. Let it cook, you know?
Yeah, leave space for other lifestyles.
Exactly. And that's the problem, I think, is like, yeah, people are afraid to admit that they like to do stuff. Like, if you like to stay at home, I would like it, you know? Like, there's no shame in it, you know? Like, I would much rather, we couldn't afford it, but when I have kids, that's like, I would much rather me or my wife stay home. I don't want to fucking pay some asshole $400 a week to watch my kid, to raise my kids. It's just like, you know.
Question for you on that. Long term, do you think that long-term relationship that women would be equally more or less willing to take care of a man that stays at home without any negative repercussions to that relationship, whether it's loss of respect, you know, just, you know, else words, etc., attraction?
I think that's something that people don't address anymore either, is that, like, there still is, in the back of our minds, defined gender roles. Like, I would be happy being a stay-at-home dad, and I don't think in my personal situation my wife would have less respect for me as a man, but like, I definitely think that there are some situations where if that was the dynamic, the woman would lose respect for the man and maybe try to find a new man, even though he's still in a way providing. Like, maybe if it's not money, he's providing, you know, a clean household, taking care of children. Like, I don't know. I feel like
they did study that, like, in the 80s. There's
thinking of something like that, where
like a large study called The Second Shift, and the reason women lose respect for the man when they're staying at home is if they're not cleaning up, like if they're being the breadwinner and then they come home and have to cook dinner. That's when the issue comes.
Situation. That's a completely different, because that's one person taking on all responsibility, and that's fucked up, you know.
So isn't that then kind of like the same argument that from the past then, that, you know, like, if men are coming home and then, you know, she's like, I don't want to cook, right? Like, if essentially you're ending at the same row, just in the reverse, is it not?
Yeah, but it's usually not the woman staying home. It's usually both parties are going to work, and then the woman comes home and is like, I don't feel like cooking right now.
Yeah, well,
neither one feels like cooking. Like, just order takeout.
We both work. We both have hard fucking jobs.
Let's get a frozen pizza and call it a night.
I think there was also a study that basically said in a partnership you need 40 hours of domestic labor, and now there's no one to do that because everyone works.
Yeah, my yard's a fucking mess. Have you not seen it?
Like, I think that was the problem. Is
my yard's a mess.
Yeah, mine is too. But
get a cool car.
I mean, among the multitude, I think that was the problem with traditional thinking, is that men, or the breadwinner, not to be gendered, did not respect the labor of their partners, you know? And that's probably where it comes from. It's just like, it's an expectation, you know? It's like, I mean, I'd like to stay at home, but I don't like to cook. So, like, I do recognize that it's like, yeah, man, all right. You know, like,
I just like being at home. I don't want to do anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's like what I really like. I'd like to say I'd like to be a stay-at-home dad, but then like after a couple
but
days,
then that's
I'd be
your
like,
jobs, and like
yeah.
every part of your job, you got to do things.
And
you
I've
don't
never
like.
done.
So.
I've never done any job I've ever had well. So, so that's the problem.
So you shouldn't have the stay-at-home.
Yeah.
Job.
Oh yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's like ideally, it's like, oh, that does sound like more fun. But if I was honest with myself, it would just be easier for me just to be the one who works, because it's like I'm not self-motivated. You know.
By the way, Nate, I really appreciate your earnest demeanor and vulnerability, man. Like,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You know.
Yeah, I think it's cool that you're a huge pussy. Also.
I mean, I got to admit it.
Is this who punched you in the face? Is this who you punched?
I mean,
shit
come
out of
on.
me.
Not in the face.
Tori was so mean to me growing up. It was crazy.
Why do you think he's so nice now?
Yeah.
And I have a follow-up question here in a moment, but Tori,
she would punch me in the face. Don't pretend like that.
Punch you in the face.
You did a couple times.
You're gaslighting.
Tori, do you think that gender roles are beneficial or not?
I agree with Nate. I think just clearly defined roles are beneficial. Both parties being like, well, what are you okay with doing? What am I okay with doing? How do we make this easier for both of us?
If you were,
like I said, I like laundry. I don't like dishes. Like, I think that instead of just like thinking these things will get done, you should kind of take initiative and
do you like moving furniture and like mowing the lawn and stuff like that?
Well, I live in a condo, so I don't need to mow my lawn.
Right. Because and the reason why I ask, right, is because I agree with you, right? I have found that in the past, and you know, for example, in the last relationship that I had, the chore wheel seemed to be chore wheels, but excluding a lot of other chores that are just on me as a guy. Because they're, you know, like not
Well, did you join in the making of the chore wheel?
I did, and the answer that I got is like, well, I don't like to sweat, so I'm not gonna do that. You know, like,
then you don't do it either.
Well, yeah, that's when you're like, all right, well, take me off some of these
soft
indoor
I guess
things.
the lawn's just looking a mess.
Yeah.
Right. But then sometimes what I've heard in the past is like, well, this may be easier for you, right? And all of a sudden, you know, the rationalization, because I'm a man, like now all of a sudden I should be doing certain things. And it's like the chore wheel wasn't my idea, you know, like, but then what if the rationalization went the other way, and it's like, well, you're better at X, let's say organizing, that you should do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
that's the weaponized incompetence.
But isn't this the other?
But just being naturally frail doesn't count as weaponized incompetence.
So you're saying that women are naturally frail?
Oh yeah. Oh well, I mean.
Well, that's
my guess is that you probably could bench more than that girl who wanted you to mow the lawn.
Bro.
Like maybe she can't even push that thing. Did you see if she can push it?
Well,
but yeah, how is that not a form of weaponized incompetence? You know?
Yeah.
As being a woman,
Boom.
like I don't like getting dirty.
Get in the gym.
Yeah, for real. Man.
Do a couple push-ups.
That's
Come on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've served with a lot of strong women,
Would you
you know
say
what I
that
mean?
like an old person who's all decrepit and old is using weaponized incompetence? Because their body
being
just
lazy.
simply
Get your
aged?
motherfucking ass up. Ain't nothing wrong with your old ass.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like I'm a maintenance guy, right?
Yeah.
And then like shit goes wrong.
Muscles.
Yeah, shit goes wrong at my house, and it's like, well, you're the maintenance guy, you know?
Yeah.
Literally, like, you know how to unclog this sink better than me, but that sometimes isn't fucking put into the equation. Like, I like mowing the lawn, but it's like that's not put into the equation sometimes. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know.
No, I completely agree, and this is the thing.
It's like I'm still doing it, you know? It's still 2 hours every week. I mean, when I do it, it's more like 2 hours every 3 weeks for me, but, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like...
Yeah, and I'd like to touch on that because I think you make a great point, and then, Slim, we'll get to the gender roles thing.
Uh-huh.
Because I find that, and maybe this is a personal thing, that sometimes men, just in general, have been, like, because, you know, like, gentler to women, especially validating their reality and their emotions, and maybe being gentler than they would communicate with another guy, or just the treatment might be a little bit different. This kind of, for decades or whatever, however long this has been going on, could give a warped perception to the other sex of what the regular treatment is actually like. So that now, if we're going into the things, it's like then the perception is like, well, I wasn't loading your plate with all this other bullshit because I am giving you a more catered experience looking to you. But now that if you're looking to your point, equalize certain things, these are all the things that I could be bringing on. Yes, you mentioned, right? Why am I the maintenance guy? Which I never mentioned before. But if we want to really get to the tit for tat and accountability, it's like, okay, I'll bring this all on. And then this at the other side, I see sometimes flagged that's like, oh, this is insecurity or gaslighting, or all of a sudden you're like bringing all the stuff that you didn't bring up before. And it's almost, I sometimes see it as a response to kind of like the new paradigm. And then whenever these things are brought up, you mentioned like in some one side is, weaponized incompetence, but on the other side it isn't. And I'm trying to square that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Deep, brother.
I mean, I just know that.
Hell no.
No, but sorry, go
on. No, I think that like if you're doing the dishes, she should go mow the lawn or whatever. Like it should be equal.
I've had an ex mow the lawn, by the way. So
yeah,
they can do it.
But also
they're empowered women.
Yeah, but you still, I still.
So like, I use a water cooler at my house, and now that I'm older, sorry,
I do too.
I find it just a little harder to carry those big bottles up and down.
The 5-gallon one?
Yeah, I can do it.
You have a bottom loading one?
No.
You gotta get one of those.
Top loader, but I still have to carry it. I still gotta carry it from the store and everything.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Imagine if you were dating men, you would maybe.
Well, I have a roommate who's a man, and sometimes I just be like, "Can you come up and get these?" Because it seriously doesn't bother you. Like it's gonna hurt my back to do it. You're just literally stronger. Can you do that? And it's just a nice thing to do.
Pain
if you know you're literally stronger than someone, like your grandmother, you're gonna help her carry shit. That's all I'm saying.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like
Couldn't you get stronger?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're already strong. It's going to take me months to get stronger.
I don't want to stop your growth.
That's good. Then don't be my boyfriend. Okay?
It's going to take months for me to go to therapy and like work on my baggage and shit. Like we all have to work. We all have labor, emotional labor, physical labor. You know what I mean? And it's like, but also there's that masculinity thing that you want to live in a modern society. But it's like, yeah, if I see my wife, because I got a water cooler too, lifting that thing up, I like. Oh, like if my neighbors could see me, they can't. But if like my neighbors could see my wife mowing the lawn, I would. Admittedly, it's not ideal. I'd be embarrassed as a man. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like people don't recognize that like we're trying to alleviate these gender roles, but it's like they're still baked into us in some respect. Right. Maybe it's because of
women, we gotta hit the gym twice a week. Men, you gotta go to therapy twice a week.
I do, man. Yeah, man.
Fucking therapy's expensive, though. Therapy is fucking expensive.
Like, so is a gym membership.
Yeah, but
not compared to therapy.
Calisthenics, man.
If you go to a nice one, Equinox, come on.
Yeah, but even a nice gym is only going to cost a month.
Man, you can work out at home, bro.
Okay, is this maybe why we need two incomes? Because you mentioned a gym membership is expensive. Equinox, $300 for a hair appointment, right? Yeah. Like, is it like, could we actually live on one income if we didn't spend money frivolously on things?
That's another
we
really good point.
We could live off one income if motherfuckers like didn't live beyond their means. You know what I'm saying? And we're just in a society, man, where it's just natural for motherfuckers to be trying to keep up with the Joneses. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it's like, you married, why you got spending $300 on your hair now? It's like, who you trying to attract somebody else?
Well, evidently,
I already bought the cow. I already bought the fucking cow.
But see,
look at my hair. Don't point at me. Look at my hair.
You know what I'm saying? It's like,
but if she was really truly doing it for her, that's not gonna stop because she was doing it for fucking her.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point. That's a really good point. For sure.
Yeah, so, but you're on the hook for half of.
Guess you're mixing the thing of like, I'm doing it for myself, but it's also
for
like
you.
I should do this because I did this.
So like a woman or whoever is gonna dress for herself, do all that shit for herself. But
by the way, I pay on dates. By the way, I don't want to be misconstrued.
Okay,
you better stop, man.
But that's why the first date is walking. You know, I gotta.
We're also not.
You pay for that.
Yeah, you got to make sure she can carry that water bottle up the stairs.
Right.
I'll pay for the gym
membership. That strong, empowered woman. What, she
can
you
go
can't
long
carry
enough.
water.
Yeah. But that's another thing that doesn't get brought to the table, though, is like we were talking about how women look nice for themselves, or do they look nice for men? But it's like, why aren't we bringing up the fact that a lot of women do it for other women? Like, we're all in competition. There's always competition. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter who you're competing against. It may not be the same person, but like, we're all in competition with somebody. So, I mean, I'm not saying that's why
I don't think men do steroids for women.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like men are also in competition with other men. Like, that's
Do you think
known.
men compete with other men like women compete with other women?
Yes, but I don't think it's as
It's
direct.
like, it's different. It's
I don't
different.
think it's as
But
direct.
the aim is the same, I feel
For
like.
sure. Yeah.
Right, like, cause it like at least what I found, and maybe Elias can give me some feedback. It seems like when men are competing, it's not a zero-sum game. It's like, like if he beat me, be the best man win. I may still be in a competition with him, but it seems like, at least what I hear from women when they're competing, especially when they're if you're in a friend circle with dudes, right? Okay, you won, you got the girl, right? Like we all went out, we all liked her, she was into you. Okay, well, fuck, but it seems like on the other end, when women are competing with each other, it's much more cutthroat.
Oh yeah.
Against, like it seems like a zero-sum game where it's like, oh, okay, because
You're taking something from me. We're not both trying to get the same thing.
Yeah.
Or that we could both have, I think is what you're trying to say, right?
Yeah,
it's
something like that.
It's like I have it, so you can't have it, as opposed to we could both have it.
I think that's because like men are used to like being turned down and like failure and stuff. You know what I mean? And for a woman to lose something they really, really want when they just get pretty much presented it to them like their whole life, it's like a whole nother level.
Yeah, it's hard for us. It's hard for us to take that hit. Rejection.
But I mean, am I wrong? Do you guys ever feel in competition with other women?
Me? No. I mean, I guess maybe when I was younger, but no.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too, is like, we're not, now that we're all adults, clearly, it's like, that's the thing I'm talking all over the place, but that's the one thing I don't get about social media is like, you're not in high school anymore. Why are you trying to find high school?
Because they peaked in high school and they have nothing fucking else going for them.
Right.
So they're trying to ride that fucking I was the best dressed wave in fucking 2004. Yeah. And the funny thing is too, man, you know what I'm saying? That's why you really do have to stay humble, because a lot of times motherfuckers laugh at shit that they end up becoming. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And yeah.
You attract what you fear,
type shit.
Yeah.
I fear success, and I know that shit's gonna hit me in no time. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think you mentioned something, right? And it's like, and it goes back to it. I think that as a woman, right, like it can be very confusing. I could see it being very confusing, because I would argue that your interaction with men, that you are not living in reality until probably your 40s, not by your choice, but because men are constructing a reality around you, and like even just chasing the attraction. And I think that men end up being, as they they're not chasing as much, they end up giving you maybe a more similar treatment than they would give other men, perhaps. And because they're gassing you up when you're like 18 and over, and in your 20s, right? Like you are at the peak. To the point that you mentioned, right? Like it's easier for a woman to have sex than it is for a guy, and how could that not be destabilizing of what men actually think about you outside of your physical beauty, if you're being constantly gassed up for at least a couple decades?
So what happens to you after that?
No, I'm saying, how could it not be confusing for the like women, like to.
So
like
I think
what
definitely
men,
some women like can live in a bubble, I guess, because they're being treated a certain way.
I'm sure you were gassed up for like the last 15 years or so. Yeah.
Yeah, it just stopped.
Well, you decided it should stop, right? Like,
I think that I don't know. People are generally nicer to women, especially men, and I think that can sometimes create grandiose feelings in certain women. That's true, or at least just not realizing that they're just not all that. Whatever, none of us are. But I think that women compete against each other because of sort of like an ingrained survival mechanism. So we're competing for like, men are competing for a prize, which is just a female body. Women are competing for like status and survival. That's what I think.
I think it's only for cute women though. You know what I mean? That's who gets the that special treatment. You know what I'm saying? Because I've witnessed, you know what I'm saying, some people do some pretty foul shit to some women that they didn't feel like was as attractive as the last one or some shit.
He's just witness. He's only witness.
Yeah, I don't do shit like that.
Well, is that analogous to, like a woman that fucks a Chad on the first night versus a guy that maybe, like they have to really get to know, and then she bangs him out like a month or 2 months or 3 months later?
There is definitely an attractiveness privilege that people inside the bubble don't want to bring up. But yeah, that's like they say, the thing about Tinder is like, now that's destroying relationships because 10% of the men, the 1% fucking occupy Tinder shit, 10% of the men get 90% of the women on Tinder because it's just a meat market. You know what I mean?
I've never heard nobody say, God damn, look at her personality.
Damn, that personality.
But I mean,
like, know the fuck out her. You know what I'm saying?
because there is no personality.
Yeah,
on a dating website, you're gonna learn somebody's fucking ins and outs in a paragraph. No, it's like, this guy's fucking hot. What's up? Come over and fuck me. All right.
And enough about your experiences on dating sites.
No, I hate it.
I think what you're alluding to, and I think and correct me if I'm wrong, is that men will fuck. Men are actually more flexible, I would argue, about who they fuck. Maybe it's a side effect of just not just being able to get laid whenever they want, so that they will have sex with women that they have otherwise zero interest in romantically or whatever.
Take what I can get
right?
mentality.
There's the there's the wife material or wifey material. Then there's the for recreational only, and that could either be visible, for sex only, and you're okay with being seen with her, or maybe more of like a situation like late at night,
3 a.m,
or there could be what they call the sweepers, right? That you're like you might have sex with them, but nobody is ever gonna know about it, or you might do it one time. And I don't know if women are as loose, maybe often with
they loose.
No, I'm saying like compared to men, as being able to just fuck with and they'll still do it. I'm not saying they won't, but at the numbers that men will just fuck somebody that they wouldn't potentially want to have a follow-up second time with.
See, the shit's weird though, right, bro? Because like I say, man, motherfuckers are looking for modern day, they're looking for modern gratification, but wanting fucking traditional shit to happen. You know what I'm saying? If that make sense.
What do you mean? Like,
you know what I'm saying? Like, well, I'm a woman. I can do whatever I want to with my body, and you shouldn't fucking shame me. You know what I mean? But you a whore. Whores have throughout, you know what I'm saying? Throughout fucking history and society, man, whores have been treated a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Loose women have been treated same way as like a bullshit dude, man. You know what I'm saying? Like just who the fuck are you, loser? You know what I'm saying? Like motherfuckers get treated a certain way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And their actions, you know what I'm saying, the actions that they're displaying, they're fucking just, I don't get why you're treating me like this. I'm a woman. I'm soft.
Yeah, have your cake and eat it too.
Thank you, man. It's hard. Yeah, it's really hard to, like I say, man, articulate some of this shit because it's like you try not to say something too wild, but then you can't be so soft and shit. You know what I'm saying? To where like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just
like they don't want to be shamed for
being a hoe. Like growing up.
Do you think that women should be shamed for being a hoe?
Men are.
They are?
Yes.
More than women?
Look, check it out. This shit, this shit is so fucking wild, right? Every time you turn around, and I forgot who fucking said this, man. Every time you turn around, you hear, oh, fuck boys, y'all think he's a fucking player, you know what I'm saying? Da-da-da-da-da. In the reverse, we just had a fucking slut walk. You know what I mean? It's the 4th or 5th anniversary of the slut walk. You can't tell me anything, da-da-da. And the same motherfuckers that shame a man will turn on The Bachelor and watch one nigga date 9 bitches at a time to figure out who he wants to fuck with the most. That's not weird?
Interesting. What do you think, Tori?
I don't know what you mean. Like, I definitely don't think that men get more flack for being promiscuous. That is 100% false and really ridiculous thing to say.
Let's bring it maybe on because it's gonna be equivalent probably in a different. It's gonna show itself in a different way.
Right.
Do you think men get shamed if they don't pay on first dates more than women?
Women get shamed for fucking?
No. Then women get paid for.
What does that have to do with this?
Because the attraction triggers are different, so it's not gonna rear itself. If women, I think the reason that he's mentioned is because women can get sex whenever they want.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So
I don't
it's
think
kind of like not
a lot of sex.
Well, it's not
didn't
exercising.
Do anything,
No,
do anything to get that.
No, I'm saying it's like not exercising their restraint on that, right? Like so, it goes back to a role. So if men are meant to chase, and like do this thing, then them like restricting, like the. I'm
Body
saying this.
count?
No, it's gonna be like the promiscuity in women is not going to be seen to be the same as promiscuity in men. Just like financial status is not going to be seen positively and negatively the same for men or women in a dating scenario.
For sure. Thank you.
That's what I'm saying. Like the triggers, like are not going to be the same because there's going to be difference across the sexes.
Triggers? What are you saying?
I'm
saying that you shouldn't shame a woman for having sex because that's basically what every man wants a woman to do every second of every day. So if she just did the thing you wanted her to do, you shouldn't shame her for it. And I also don't think that that's a.
You shouldn't shame
I think
her,
that's
but
a false equivalent saying like, well, what about men who get shamed for not paying for dinner? Like these are not.
Well, I don't think you
things don't go
should
together.
shame women
That's the thing
for
of
being
providing, right?
promiscuous, but I don't think should be a point of pride. You know what I mean? It's like a woman who's like proud that she sleeps with a lot of guys. That's fine. I'm not going to try to shame you, but to me, that's the equivalent of like a guy on Instagram who's got a rich dad showing off his watch. It's like, well, you got to recognize that was a lot easier for you to get that watch. You didn't? Did you earn it?
You don't deserve any clout for
That's
being
what
a
I'm saying.
woman with
I'm
a high
like-
five.
I don't think people
That's
should be
fine.
shamed. I just don't think.
Yeah, that's
I
what I was
think
trying
pride
to
is
That's a better
dangerous.
example.
And
yeah.
And also, like, to be fair, promiscuity is gross. Like, no matter what.
Sure.
Like, STDs, all that shit. It's just like, being promiscuous is a gross thing.
This is your
you know?
brother. So
Hey,
like,
man.
do you disagree with him? That promiscuity is
No,
gross?
I mean it's
You
dangerous.
can sleep
You
with
can
one
easily-
person and get an STD.
For
so-
sure.
If they're
Yeah, but I
they-
mean, it's
they
like-
have to be the promiscuous one. Right?
But you can
Like,
sleep with 9 guys and get 9 times the chance of getting
Yeah.
an STD. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, but it's just like I think. I'm not trying to shame anybody. This is just my personal belief.
Well, let's
It's
touch
like-
on that. Like,
It's cautionary.
Is shame good?
Hell yeah.
As a society, for a society.
Hell yeah, man. Hey, man, it's a lady, and no disrespect, man, a rapper, Sexy Red, right? Sexy Red, in one of her fucking verses, right? The lady said, bitch said, come fuck with me. I'm trying to get my pussy stretched. Like, you don't have any shame of saying that?
So let me
Like,
ask
what
you
the
this though.
fuck?
Can I ask you like if
Whatever
you
happened
were,
to metaphor and nuance and
Yeah, you know what I'm
That's
saying?
my
They
thing.
just come straight. Hey, I'm trying to get this pussy stretched.
By
All right, well,
Dearest,
don't buy her
whatever.
album.
Town,
bad.
just
That's
left
just bad
Pound
song
Town.
Listen,
writing,
you
if you
don't
ask me.
you don't
They
have
got
to
the
buy
kids
that
singing it.
track, but if like the woman you loved was in bed and said that shit to you, would you be like, ugh, gross, get out of here, you whore? Like,
Oh, I will
that's-
say you whore.
yeah, because she wants you to,
I
not
mean,
because you're upset.
But I think you're equivalizing that there are things that are appropriate in private and public,
Right.
Like, there's certain there are
That's what the world doesn't
different
know.
ways that we comport
Yeah, the
ourselves.
world
every
doesn't
rap
know
song
shame
is
anymore.
about sex. So
Right. But
Yeah,
you're
but I
bringing
mean,
it back
nuances.
inside your home, and that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about in a public space.
For sure.
it's a song lyric. Why don't you go over all the the male rapper song lyrics?
Yeah.
See, there's
And
no accountability.
Nobody's
Again, that's
justifying
bad
There's no
songwriting.
accountability.
Why can't a woman who you don't have to buy her album say she wants to get her pussy stretched on her track? That
No, you
she
can definitely
made?
do whatever the fuck
So
you
you
want.
don't. So you don't think shame is a good thing in society?
I don't know the song he's talking about, but if people like that song and
Yeah.
it got her a bag, then I don't think she should be ashamed.
So it's
of
all
that.
about the money. Long as you get the money, fuck shame.
Who is she hurting by saying she wants her pussy stretched?
Also,
Maybe the youth. Like, oh yeah, I want to get
youth.
my pussy stretched when I get older.
I feel like Sexy Red is satire, though. Like,
For sure.
that's
For
how
sure.
I see. I think she's hilarious.
Well, I could see.
Most
like,
people don't understand satire,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Most people are
It-
not smart enough to realize that.
Yeah, and if we live in a
Yeah.
Fair to
society,
both of
So
y'all.
it- yeah.
Fair to both
but
of y'all.
but addressing Tori, like if we live in a society where getting the bag is seen as the righteous, pinnacle of success, and then you see this person, to your point, getting a bag, and this is their message, could you not see that people would want to emulate this person because they are seen as the winner and role model of society?
So what? Getting your pussy stretched is a pretty universal fucking experience. Like, I know it might hurt your ears, but she's just working. She's just at work making songs.
So a prostitute.
Yeah, that's exactly what a prostitute is. She's at work, and you really shouldn't say shit about what she does for work.
So question, so shame, you don't think it's a good thing?
I don't think people should shame other people. You should have, I guess, some...
Who else are you going to shame?
Yeah.
Yourself. You should have some internal shame to control yourself.
No.
Like
that's
this,
terrible.
the reason I'm not gonna like take my shirt off right now is because I have shame, right? That kind of shame.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
I know.
Thank you.
You'd be thanking me a lot more.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I don't know. Yeah, you shouldn't shame people, but like,
yeah. Okay, so shame bad.
Well, because like it's a slippery slope, though. It's like, oh, I don't feel ashamed about myself. It's like, well, it's like I don't feel ashamed because I sleep with a lot of men. I don't feel ashamed because I stole something. It's like, where's the line? Where does like self-reflection come into it? It's like, I'm not even saying like, hey, if you just fucking objectively like to get fucked, there's nothing behind it, it's just you like the way it feels, that's fine. But like, maybe take 1 second to like oh, maybe the reason why is because I'm a little damaged. No? Okay, no, good. But maybe just take a moment of self-reflection.
I just don't think their motives matter, really.
They don't?
I mean, if it's...
Because motives matter in our society.
I don't think drug addicts' motives matter then. Like, what's the point, though? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Money. What do you mean?
If you're addicted to something, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you just got to realize it's like, is this just something I'm doing because I like it and I'm young? Or is this like what's the word? Addictive? Am I addicted to this? Is this a negative thing? Like, and if it's not, that's cool. Like, if it's just about having fun, that's cool. But it's like, I'm sure a lot of people that fucking do heroin are like, I'm just having fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, no matter what the reason, opioid epidemic, it's like, it could be not your fault, but it's just like.
Well, so that's what I mean.
You just have to be self-reflective.
People have so many different reasons for doing these things that us speculating on it isn't really like appropriate. Be like,
why not?
To just be like, okay, well, if you're having sex because of these reasons, it's okay. If you're having them because of these reasons, it's not. I don't think anyone can really say that. I mean, I could feel for somebody who might have.
Absolutely what you
I mean, that's what society is.
That's how we govern.
We govern each other. Norms.
For sure.
You know, right?
Social norms.
Because if you think about it, how does a society come about, right? It starts with a couple people, and then it grows, and then you all agree on a certain sense. Because if we all wanted to do everything that we wanted, and there was somebody in the society that thinks murder is cool, or hitting women is cool, or liking younger people is cool, and you know, like there has to be a consensus of this is what we agree or we disagree in the society, right? So I don't know if like
for someone's personal reasons for being a prostitute.
Other outside people can't comment. I wouldn't put it as somebody that she's
but being a prostitute and being a sex addict are different, and it's like
but the question is shame, right? Like, is shame good or bad for a society?
I'm gonna say bad, probably bad.
But I think abundance of pride is also
That's true.
bad. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to tell people that they should feel shamed, but I like.
How would you curb somebody's behavior?
They'll say like, I shouldn't be ashamed because I am who I am. Yeah. But it's like, okay, that's you're just who you are. Why are you so proud of who you are? You know what I mean? And maybe that's just insecurity that I've internalized, but it's just like, it's like, why are you so goddamn proud of this thing? You know, like.
You can know pride and shame. Two things can exist and neither be wrong. You know what I'm saying? But, of course, too much of one thing is always going to be a negative.
That's true. Too much of anything is a negative.
Is you know what I mean? I would dare say common sense, at least to people that think like me or something.
Well, it's harder to like have common sense now that we have hyper catered experiences because we're not all subject to the same stuff. So there's not a lot of common. But before we get on to it, Emily, shame good or bad?
I would say internal shame bad, but like as a society, shaming bad behavior good.
I like that it's the universe. And I would agree with you. And
you want to bring back the stocks?
well, let me
start
post
throwing
this.
tomatoes at people. Rotten tomatoes.
How
Well,
could,
I don't. I'm not motivated by shame.
Yeah, it's non-violent. It's definitely.
Like if you're like me keeping my clothes on isn't a shame motivation. It's more of like a respect for other people motivation. So it's like to teach that motivation externally, there might need to be shame at some point. Like when you're teaching kids empathy, like you kind of have to like be like, hey, how would you feel if someone hurt you? Like kind of shame that behavior, and then eventually they learn empathy and respect.
Yeah, because they don't have the higher cognitive functions. They understand shame.
Like you don't want your child to be internally motivated by shame. You want them to internally be motivated by like respect and empathy.
So do you think canceling people is a good thing?
Yes, some people deserve to be canceled.
Yeah,
yes,
that's the consequences of your actions.
For sure. Some people shouldn't have a platform to speak. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. True. I'm a fan of call out culture, so I guess maybe I'm.
But do
you like when women get called out?
Yeah.
If they did something that I don't like, yeah.
Do you think
that you don't like?
That I don't like, yeah, me.
How much should it affect their lives though?
Depend on the
mean
situation.
in proportion to how much they're hurting society or other people.
That's their debt to society.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and let me
Diddy's getting canceled right now, as he should.
I would definitely agree with that.
You know,
solid.
He should be canceled in proportion to what he's done. So all the way.
But do you guys think he really did it?
Well, yeah, they're gonna Epstein.
That's a great point. I don't know. Now that you say that,
all I know is I'm still listening to the music. I like to separate the music from the artist. You know, like
hey, that's hard for some people, man.
Yeah, it's hard for some really people, but like you know, like more money, more problems. Yeah. That song is in my playlist. It's like, what am I gonna separate the art from the art? I can't separate the art from the artist. Like how many there's I bet you people in this table love a bunch of movies that were made by the Weinstein Company, regardless of
I still like some Kanye
Allen
songs, unfortunately.
Yeah.
What did Kanye do? He's
the
still
remix
cool
to
with me.
Ignition, you know, like it's still a banger track.
Louis C.K. You know, I was all about cancel culture, and then it started to affect things and the people and the artists that I respect.
Yeah.
And then it
I've
became
seen
a
Louis
lot
CK
more confusing
in concert.
It
like
became
3
a
times.
lot more confusing after that.
Yeah.
It was so easy to be like, well, fuck, because I never listened to R. Kelly. Like, fuck him, his music, you know, who cares?
What?
Fuck it. But like now it's like when it hits people that I respected.
Oh my God, I'm attacked. You never heard R.
But
Kelly?
celebrity worship is not.
R. Kelly's got some
I
bars.
never really got into him, you know.
What you're supposed to do, or what I've done, is like, just like you said, you have to separate the art from the artist in every single case, because I'm pretty sure anyone who's made it into Hollywood is like a Zionist and just a terrible person.
Well, I mean, there's definitely everybody. You have to sell out at some point.
We're gonna dig into that in a little bit. But let me pause at the shame thing, and thank you all for your feedback panel. I would argue that shame, like let's say, if an overwhelming, you know, like your people around you, your network, are telling you this is bad, it could be the only thing outside of having a subjective experience that might guide you to say, oh, I probably shouldn't do this, even if you think that you're completely like correct on it. And I'm not saying that I agree or disagree, but I could see if we build up from a society, just a group of people, right? And right now, even though we have declining birth rates, we assume that population is going to grow, that humanity will perpetuate, right? But if you get to like the building blocks of it, like any animal, right, that's looking to procreate and make more of itself and replicate itself. If you had an ability for, and if we're looking at the traditional sense of resources are limited, if all of a sudden you have the ability for one person to not allocate the resources to you because they're fucking around and spreading the resources to other people, then that could be a danger to your community as a whole, just from having more children or those children to survive to adulthood. So, and even for the family units, because all of a sudden, if there's promiscuity abound in a large enough percentage compared to the population, that you could see that could be potentially a risk for the relationships themselves that are looking to create these family units to perpetuate. It's kind of like adding more of seduction, or more of like a potential to stray away. So I could see how those societies could be like, well, we don't want this type of thing around our community, or we don't want, people that like hit people around our community, and that the only answer outside of a physical response would be a shame response to kind of like decry that. Otherwise, what is you control for behavior that goes outside of the thing that is beneficial to the society, outside of shame?
Well, so then what about like the previous society that said that like being gay was shameful? Like, I just think you need to tread lightly. And I know that promiscuity is dangerous to the person who partakes in it. They can die, they can get diseases, they can get pregnant and die.
The potential families that get broken up as well.
Sure. It's messy. It's not good. But
like, do you think
a sex worker is doing a job and should not be shamed for it?
Do you think Ariana Grande should be shamed?
Why not?
Yeah.
Should I shame you for sitting here and doing this? This is your job.
Huh?
You need to survive. You need money.
A hitman has a job.
Right,
Exactly.
So should a hitman not be shamed then?
Bro, it's a hooker. She's doing the thing that every man wants her to do and is paying her money for.
Does every man?
And then every man wants to turn around and say that she should be shamed for being a hooker when you're her clientele. You're her fucking demographic. It's just not right.
I'm not her demographic.
You are.
Determined that John.
He is and he is.
No, but this is the thing. Like, once again, you're ascribing to what men's thoughts are, right? Like, about what they want. I would argue that most men, let's say they do want sex or being super dirty. I think if you ask most men, would they prefer if that was done only with them or with everybody? I think the argument would be like most of them would say, well, I'd prefer it just to be in the bedroom or with me. So there goes the difference between public and private, right? Like, I'm not saying that they should be shamed. I'm asking you to articulate why they shouldn't be shamed.
I just said she's working and she's doing what society wants her to do. Society mainly of men. And I know that you probably haven't visited a hooker. That's not my business anyway. But it's like working at McDonald's. It's like me being a hairdresser. It is literally just a job. It's no different than any other job. That's how I feel.
So do you have any issue with military contractors that kill people overseas for political purposes?
Do I have an issue with that?
Yeah, like, 'cause that's a job.
No, I don't actually, because that doesn't affect me. And it's a job.
Okay. No, I just,
like the
I don't mean to trigger you, by the
it,
way. Like, if I am, I don't mean to. I just want to make sure, like, because I always like to.
I also hate when sex work is compared to murder. Like, that is just, those are false equivalents.
Yeah, but you're comparing it to working at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what it is. It's a job.
But isn't that your subjective point of view?
Man, I'll vote for you.
Shit,
I will vote for you.
How the fuck is trading
get a
a
big
good
blowjob, please?
and or
Can I get a big
service for
blowjob?
money the same thing morally as murder? Get it together. Okay, I'm getting really pissed off.
Let me get a McThreesome. That'll be
We're
dope.
not saying.
Oh, cool.
We're just arguing. We're just trying to find out how is it different.
Enough. You keep asking me. You keep fucking asking, and I keep
shit.
telling you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Apologies.
Holy shit. I'm sorry. I gotta go.
Damn.
He said, whores unite. Doing it for the whores.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to offend you, Tori.
I'm gonna scoot over a little bit.
I take it she's not coming back?
I don't know.
Are you driving?
I drove her. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I guess.
Check on her.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right, cool.
Well, thanks for coming by, man.
Hopefully.
All right, bro.
Hopefully.
If not, man, it was a pleasure, man.
Yeah,
it was a
and
pleasure.
I hope I didn't come off. I meant no offense.
I don't know what happened there, but whatever.
Okay, thanks, man. Pleasure meeting you. If you don't end up coming back,
Have a great one, brother.
thank you. Yeah. I can tell you that there's been like a lot of You've experienced one walkout before, but I've never seen one like this.
No, that was crazy.
It might have
Was
been,
I being overly?
No, I think there's just a lot
because
of.
you got to bring balance to it. It's your fucking shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's not. I don't think you're trying to have a one-sided.
Yeah, I just want to dig into
devil's
it.
advocate, if you will. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, I don't really want to speak on my opinion.
Because
honestly.
I sometimes ask Wafik as well, like when I'm like, hold on, dig into this for me more to understand where your thought process is coming from.
No, I didn't feel like that was hostile on your end.
I know just the way I speak sometimes can get people started.
I would have thought she got pissed off at you, not me.
I think I might have kicked it off and then you know what I mean? I don't know. But like I said, man,
Yeah.
You edged her up and then, I just popped the top, man.
But that is wild though, bro. Like McDonald's being the same thing as fucking prostitute, man. That's
yeah.
Well, maybe she felt gang up on when
you
mentioned the McDonald's.
Yeah, because because it was me being like, well, yeah, because she's like, it's not, you can't compare it to like the military thing, and I'm over here like, well, you can't compare it to McDonald's either.
Yeah, that was, I think,
like that's what it was like, where I was like, look, I get where you're coming from, but you gotta like at least think your logic out all the way.
Yeah, and that's sometimes why I pose these questions, right? Because everybody can have their perspective. I just want to make sure it's like, are we measuring the same way across the board, right? Like, okay, does this apply here? Then if it's the same scenario here, shouldn't it also apply? And if it shouldn't, why? Right? Otherwise, we might have more miscommunication, or some of these like challenges.
Yeah. Well, I think Tori thought that we were all saying that like prostitution is morally incorrect, and she's like, she doesn't even know my background in the situation either. So it's like, look, you across the board, you just don't know who you're talking to. So it's like, you really kind of have to keep an open, balanced mind, because like I'm coming at it from a different perspective from her.
Yeah.
Too.
I'm just glad I didn't get punched in the face, Like,
right.
That'd have been terrible, man.
Well, this is like the spiciest walkout we've ever had.
Oh man, I'm glad I could be a part of that then, man.
Yeah. Oh my God, I was here for
you were here.
I kind of caused both of them too.
And the other time that people have left the pod is when I've lost my cool. Like I'd be like, get the fuck out of here.
Man, see, I thought like this right here. Just my opinion. Like when you're getting ready to do something like this, I think you just need to clear your mind and understand, like, everybody has lived different lifestyles. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What you say isn't gospel. What I say isn't gospel. What you believe isn't gospel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we're like, I find it playing. We're playing the ideas.
Call you on your bullshit.
Yeah, people are definitely gonna like play with the idea, right? It's no attack, like.
And that's what happened with the other one too. I like called this guy out on his bullshit.
Damn.
Yeah, you did, and he lost the school, and you internalized it. It's because we're coming in here with the best intentions. Because I like Tori. I think she's cool. Yeah. So there's zero malice on my end.
Yeah. And I'm just going to talk like this because.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, we needed, and that's why I thought you'd be good for the panel, because it'd be a counterbalance of opinions, so we can really explore it. Because sometimes when we were at Chamber of Echoes, you just hear people repeating the same things.
Well, that's what happens is like, Tori surrounds herself, this is like what I'm guessing, is she surrounds herself with people who think exactly like her and hype up exactly what she's doing. And I'm over here like, I know I'm on my bullshit, but like, I recognize that like I'm on my bullshit sometimes.
Yeah, and you can and you can own it, right?
Yeah.
Like that even gives you more power. You're like, yeah, whatever, but this is what I choose and how it is, and it may be perceived, but this is it.
Yeah.
Take it or leave it.
Right.
But it's a difference in being like, no, the world is different.
Yeah.
And then you're like, well, then you are gonna have these difficult relations with different people, because then you're not even being honest with yourself.
And honestly, man, not to get too profound, but I like butter and sugar in my grits. Mm-hmm. Some people only like pepper, and some people like butter and salt and stuff like that. And that sometimes reaches a pretty, I don't know how the fuck it does, you know what I'm saying? But it sparks a pretty crazy, like, debate or conversation or whatever. And I know I tricked you when I said profound nigga talking about grits, but
no.
No, it's just weird, man, to see how people like can really get like flustered and like their blood, man. It's way more important
like,
shit in the world going on.
If you're so locked into like the way I see things is right, and I'm the smartest, wokest person out there,
you can't grow, man.
Yeah,
you can't grow,
and that's why, like, even when I mentioned earlier, believe, right? I'm like, I think, right, because I forget. It's Dogma. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie, right? Like Chris Rock, but he's a poet, whatever it is, but he's like. He's like, I'd rather us have ideas, not beliefs, because you can change an idea, but a belief is so difficult to change. And to your point, I think when you associate yourself, you cannot separate yourself from your belief to where, like, you take it almost as an attack on your own person, as opposed to being like, well, let me hear this other perspective. I could still think, well, whatever, you're wrong, or maybe I am wrong, but I like this the way it is. Then you can own it, and
you can never take your. Man, I don't believe, and maybe this is the comedian in me, man. I try my best not to take myself too seriously, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's same thing with the other walkout. Someone taking themselves too seriously.
Is she a comedian?
She was.
She was for a long time. She's very
Ugh.
funny as well, and very cool. I've never. I did not expect that.
I wouldn't expect that because I believe as a comedian, you know what I'm saying, even when you go to open mics or different shows and shit, you know what I'm saying, you're about to hear someone's perspective on life, how they see it. You know what I'm saying? And you may not agree with it. People don't agree with how I think and shit. You know what I'm saying? When I'm on stage, it doesn't mean I actually believe this shit. This is what I think is funny, though. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Like if somebody roasts me after they go, like, after I step down, and they're like, it's fair game. I'm not going to take myself so seriously. Oh, why are you roasting me? It's like,
exactly.
It's a show. It's like, and arguably, I would argue that I was going at her brother harder than anybody. It
was kind of, man, I really enjoyed like how he opened up and shit, bro. It made me shut the fuck up. Like, man, you know what? Let's let this man get it out, man, because this is like some important shit to watch.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I didn't want to like interrupt. You know what I'm saying? Trying to be funny and shit. You know what I'm saying? And now we're here, man. This is a comfy ass motherfucking seat, dog.
Yeah, right. When you're by yourself, that seat is really the best. Man. But this is what we have the form now for cases like this.
Oh yeah, I was gonna fill that out, but I was like, you already know all the answers
good. Yeah,
to that.
You're good. No, but for guests, right? Because it's happened at least 2 or 3 or 4 times where it's like, okay, so we spend the time, effort, or whatever, and then for whatever reason somebody doesn't want the episode released, and it's like I usually have no backing, to be like, well, you knew what this was for, even though I tell people, I'm like, write anything you want, I will bleep it out,
Yeah.
But yeah.
I thought she was gonna lose it on me when she said, take off my shirt. I'm like, oh, thank you. But I was saying thank you on some like thank you for being respectful and not like being like not that I thought she was unattractive or something like that. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't a dig at her and shit. But thank you again if you watching.
Let me show you
if
Emily.
this gets released.
If this gets released.
This will definitely get released, unless she reaches out, and I might cut out her like walkout. You
got to keep the walkout though, bro. The walkout is fucking.
No, you can't do that.
The thing is, like, surprisingly enough, the walkout would get so many fucking hits on social media.
For sure.
Like, arguably from marketing and red meat, to your point that we were watching, everybody just loves to hate watch. It would probably get the most views of any clip that I've ever put out there. Maybe even more. Maybe similar to the one with you. With I'm gonna be so mean now. But let me show you Kevin Samuel, since you haven't seen him before, Emily, and then we'll wrap since we've gone for a little bit.
All right.
That way, in the future, if I I bring it up, because this is probably a good clip. I forget to bring up Kevin Samuels because it's very easy it's very easy to shit on from a feminist perspective. I could see.
Yes.
I could see
Mm-hmm.
that.
I like how you worded that.
I have a master's in public administration, and I have a law degree.
How tall are you?
5'9".
Dress size?
16.
You didn't choose to be single.
I'm sorry?
How much do you weigh?
Who, me? I weigh 200.
Okay, so all right, let me let you get your big ass up off my show because I don't do this.
Rest in peace, Godfather.
Yeah, but I think the clip, and I just downloaded a random one, but he goes into it about, I think I've seen part of that clip before where he's like, well, nobody cares about your degrees and all this other shit, right? You're like 5'9" and 200 or something like that. But it's basically that kind of vibe that he gives out, right?
Yeah.
Like, so it's very toxically masculine,
It is
probably.
it's very toxic.
Awesome. Well, God, I'm still fucking recoiling, like in this amount to smoke a bowl after this.
Damn. Yeah. Man.
So we'll start with you, Emily. If you have anything to plug or any last thoughts on the show.
Nothing to plug. Last thoughts, y'all. Let's just be cool, man. Like, it's not that serious. It's not that deep.
yeah. It's too bad that they drove together too, because Nate, to your point, was like he was a great for not being a comic. Yeah. Great podcast.
He had some funny things to say too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And a very balanced approach, right? Like to where he was even like, or even mentions, I'm like, okay, well, this makes sense, right? And sometimes in a chamber, right? You're like, okay, well, what about this scenario? He's like, oh, I hadn't thought about it like that, like, which.
I think he's like processed his shit a little more.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Slim, any last thoughts, comments, anything to plug?
Hey, man. Stay cool, San Francisco. No, fucking man. You can follow me at Slim the Comedian on Instagram and Facebook, man. If this gets out in time, September 28th, we'll be having the unofficial VFW tour kickoff. It's going to be at the VFW 670 in Fayetteville, North Carolina. If you missed that, we're going to have another one October 4th in Raleigh, right? Raleigh. And November 2nd, we're going to have another show at the VFW 6018 in Fayetteville, North Carolina. If you're a veteran or you know some veterans, man, you feel like having a laugh, man, come on out and support, man.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you again for coming by, Slim. Well to have you again. By the way, like Emily, you've been in a lot of podcasts, right? Like we've done most of them, especially in this iteration together. What do you think of Slim as as a guest, right? I feel he brings not quite like a different flavor of energy, but a conviction similar to Wafiq's or yourselves, like where you have a very earnest, honest point of view and you're owning your shit to a certain degree, like people might disagree with you, right? But
that's true.
You can articulate it.
Nah, man, I'm not going to get mad or anything like shit. That's how you live your life. That's how I live mine. It's cool.
Yeah. But it probably touched on something because you only get triggered about that if that argument's been made to you, sex work and killing people, right? There has to be something underneath there, and I hope she resolves it.
No doubt.
This is why sometimes just letting somebody vent without challenging maybe not the best approach.
That's a whole nother thing. That's not like a little.
Yeah, this isn't the time for that. It's the time and place.
Yeah, it's like when you go home and vent, you need to be with a trusted person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not millions of viewers that we're about to get.
Yeah.
I tell you, if there was one clip, it would be fucking that one. Awesome. Well, thank you again for coming on the panel.
No doubt.
This
Thanks
is
for having
Manly
me.
Girly. Bye.
Bye.